Samuels pulled the chair on to Teague. Another turnover. Here come the Bears in transition. Mitchell, and he scores.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Oh, a little step back. Beautiful on the score for Snead.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
The other way, can they beat it on the fly? Flagler caught!
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Prescott going end zone. It's caught for the touchdown. Dalton Schultz.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Tuesday afternoon, May 25th. The month of June is just around the corner. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, David Smoak in the studio. Armstrong, Emma, Hayden, and Jack. The brains and the reason why if we do look good, it's because of them, the cameras, and much more. We're on tonight till 6 o'clock. Got a lot to get to. Phil Mickelson, of course, that PGA Championship Sunday. We discussed it at length a little bit yesterday. Bob Herrig, senior PGA writer for ESPN, will join us at 3:30. Arthur Rhoades at 4. Mack Rhoades, spelling differently, at 4:20. And also, Craig's off the radar today at 4:45. David Hellman on the Cowboys and the OTA. And also John McClain around 5:30. Hey, the Cowboys OTA, Dak is working out. I saw a video of Joe Burrow throwing passes. Does this kind of get you going, Paul, when it comes to the NFL? And not so much completely back to normal, but when you see guys like that having their comebacks and being able to throw the ball around.
Yeah, it's good. It's great for the Cowboys that Dak is already ready to go. I mean, my first thought when I saw that injury was like, well, that's not going to be ready for training camp, and here he is out throwing at minicamp. I don't think he's going to get much thrown at him, until, maybe the third game of the preseason. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it'd be the third game. They have 4, even though there's 3 now because of the Hall of Fame game, which I guess now that makes more sense as opposed to adding a 5th game. But I don't expect to see him do much until then, but it's good to see that he can get back in rhythm with him.
So, Go ahead.
I guess it's good to see him out there. I don't really have much to add on to that.
All right. Okay, then we won't. Other than the fact that, you know what? You've got OTAs. To me, did they have them last year, Paul?
No.
Were there OTAs? No. And then, of course, the possibility of eventually what we have when it comes to training camp and the NFL as well. Armstrong, I want to start with that wild video of I think it's a high school baseball game. Do you have that loaded up? Do we have Koepka loaded up as well? I don't know if we have that or not, but here's... This a girl, it's like during a game, this is during a game where she runs onto the field and starts chasing who I think is the pitcher. And a guy tweeted about this. He doesn't know what happened here. What do you do if you're the umpire, Paul?
You gotta call it dead ball, but it was after a ball was.
What if that would have been the game-winning play, a run turning around second towards third, and the ball's going to the gap?
It was in the 7th inning, which is the last inning of a high school game. Yeah. So it was in Iowa. So there's a run that scores, and then here's the pitcher covering home, and I don't know.
And that poor guy that tries to intercept her. You know what I thought initially it was? The bat girl. I thought she was running on the field to pick up the bat.
Yeah. Oh.
Jack, what did you say that was about Twitter? That's Twitter at its best or worst right here. I don't understand what's going on right there. Craig, what do you call that? The ball does appear to be dead. The runner's on second base and he stopped.
What do I call? I call it psychotic. That's what that is. That's not. I don't know the details. Apparently, she might be like an ex-girlfriend or something, but that's just insane is what that is. She runs onto the field chasing after this dude. Guy has to physically restrain her. She's trying to fight out of his arms. You can see her. She's trying to get out of the guy's arms. That's just psychotic is what that is. So I'm fascinated. I would love to know the details if she is, in fact, an ex-girlfriend, which makes it even crazier. But How somebody decides to just run on the field like that, like my brain just doesn't work that way.
Jeff Johnson on Twitter, JEJE66, JJ66. Let's tweet this again with proper wording. Marion Jefferson quarterfinal delayed in the 7th inning because a fan ran onto the field and chased a Jefferson player as a play was going on in which Marion doubled into the gap. Says here the female fan was tackled by the Jefferson coach. No, she wasn't. He blocked her and he almost got run over by her. So that's just to start it off randomly as well. All right. One of the things I'd like to get into, Baylor football. And we do have, again, Bob Herrig at 3:30. We could always chew on this and digest this about what Baylor might be, who they might be. Last year was a mess, 2-7, and so much. Paul, what would you say is the over-under of a 12-game regular season that appears as if we're going to have normalcy? Mack Rhoades at 420 on that season and much more. What would you say if you were Vegas and you wanted Baylor fans to get involved? What would you say the over-under would be on wins?
I think they did it right when the first one came out and said it was 5.5. I think that was about right because Baylor fans, most fans are going to say, well, it's going to be at least 6 because, and Craig talked about this a little bit last week. If you have the non-conference season, they're at worst probably 5-7, and if you have a non-conference season, you might be able to build a little more momentum. You might win some of the games that that you were close because you had more rhythm, you had more practice, you had more of that stuff. So, this is very reasonably last year under normal circumstances a 6-6 team. So I would put it at 5.5 because a 4-win jump is pretty big, but even still, I don't think this team was necessarily 2 wins bad last year under normal circumstances.
Yeah, and 4 wins is quite a jump, but when you've got 2 games that are supposed to be automatic W's, that's half your jump. So is 2 wins extra really a jump? Because that's really what it is. Can you beat 2 Big 12 teams? That's all you have to do to get to 6 wins and take care of your business. And maybe not even 2 Big 12 teams. Beat BYU. Then you only got to beat 1 more Big 12 team than you did last year. So if you really break it down that way, it's not that difficult. It's just that it is difficult to find many games outside of about 6 where you actually feel good about their chances, because I would not take them against OU right now. I would not take them against Oak State. I would not take them against Texas. I would not take them against Iowa State. K-State would be a flip game. West Virginia, they'd probably be underdogs. I think the only 2 teams they're going to be favored over will be Kansas and – you know what? They might not even be favored over anybody else, quite frankly. Maybe they should be favored over Texas Tech. Like, I saw these coach rankings that came out, and I don't even know where it came from. They had Dave Aranda as like 60-something, which I understand that I'm fine with. They had Matt Wells 2 spots above him, which, okay, fine, I guess. He's got like 1 more year of a sample size of not being a good head coach. But then they had Lance Leopold, who just got hired by Kansas at like 35. I'm like, wait a second, 35? Like, he hadn't coached it down at Kansas yet, but – like, there's doubts about Dave Aranda, and I get it, but I also don't think that anybody would have I don't think Saban would have taken over that team last year and guided them to a perfect season. Like, he was going to lose some games with the way it was structured and with that offensive line and with that quarterback play. So I think 5.5 is perfect. You either think they're a bowl team or you don't.
Yeah.
And so they're making a bowl game, you go over. They're not making a bowl game, you go under. But, again, they should win at least 2, but probably all 3 of their non-cons, because BYU should be down this year. That's also in Waco. Mm-hmm. So you better win that game. So that's 3-0. You got Kansas, that's 4. You got Texas Tech, that should be 5 in my opinion, because I know they got a new quarterback and all that, but whatever. And then go find another win somewhere. I mean, go find a couple more wins somewhere. I'm just curious who that's going to come against. I think K-State's probably the best bet because they play them pretty well, but the other ones I don't have a lot of confidence in at the moment.
Yeah, and think about it, like, to rank coaches based on last year, unless you knew something was even an addition to the fact that they had less control over things than they ever have or ever probably will as coaches in college athletics, unless they just ran that even worse. You're dealt a bad hand and then you don't even do the best job. I would hold off on ranking anybody in their first year at a university last year, just because if you look at the teams who did well, and this is in any sport, it was the ones who, had an established program and knew what they were doing, and the coach had been there for a while. I mean, that's who did well. I mean, the ones who were first there, it would be hard to to do.
Not everybody that was there long term won, though, right?
No, but the ones that did well had that in play. Like, they were the ones who had already kind of hit the ground running.
Well, Clemson was, even though they didn't have a year that some think every year now should be a Dabo Swinney playing for or winning the national championship, they still had a really pretty good year. Ohio State, Alabama, Oklahoma. I mean, they're established. Those are ones established.
Yeah, but you know what? Oklahoma's got to do more than win Big 12 titles every once in a while. I mean, they're making the playoff and doing that, and that's all great. And I know Baylor fans would trade for that in a second. You win the Big 12 every single year. But I do believe that Oklahoma should be above just winning, and I say just win the Big 12 every year. But, it's like the championships conversation, right? Like the Big 12 is a championship, but we got 20 of them, and you got no national titles to show for it. That doesn't matter as much. If you had 10 of them, but you had 3 national titles, I would take that in a second and not even question it. And so, those conference titles are good. But, yeah, Oklahoma themselves have a little bit of work to do to kind of get over that hump. Iowa State's got maybe the greatest team they've ever had. It's going to be a really interesting year.
Here's what I say about Oklahoma. They're kind of backwards of a couple of programs that went a long, long time that were on the edge of winning national titles and didn't do it, and then finally broke through. Oklahoma won theirs in 2000 with Bob Stoops in a remarkable year, and then from that point on, they've been a disappointment. They have, even though they played Georgia head up in that game that might have even gone overtime or multiple overtimes recently, they have just not gotten over the hump. And that's also hurt the Big 12. Even though you'd love all the Big 12 titles and the college football playoffs, it's as if they have gone, and this has been 20 years. This is 21 years since they won the national title, 16 for Texas, and that's the last team in the Big 12 to win a national title. And I know about the argument at 2009. Didn't happen, no matter what. Part of the deal, they didn't win it. And Oklahoma, yeah, you're right. They seemed to, the games when they played LSU well, but they didn't win back in whatever. And then, of course, the USC debacle when they got boat raced.
Well, losing to LSU when they were heavy favorites prior to the USC game the year before. And LSU kickstarted their program as a result of that win. I believe that was Nick Saban that won that game. And then we know what happened there. So, yeah, they gave LSU life. Got beat by Florida and another I mean, they've had like 7 cracks at a national title. Literally win 2 games in most years or win just 1 game, and they're like 0 for 7. I mean, it's ridiculous. Now, again, we're harping on a team that wins the Big 12 year in and year out, but, I think every team in the Big 12's got something to prove this year. Oklahoma, it's another opportunity for them to prove that they're actually, a team that compete and win a national championship. Texas with Sarkisian is going to be interesting. Iowa State, can they handle the pressure? So on and so forth. But Dave Aranda in year 2, I don't hear a lot of buzz about Baylor, and I think that's ridiculous because their defense is going to be good. I don't think there's going to be any doubt their defense is going to be good. Now, offensively, I understand why people are hesitant, especially that line, but if they can just make a couple of tweaks on offense, they can be good, and they can be better than good on offense. And if they're better than good on offense with that defense, that's a pretty damn good football team, actually. So
there's always something missing with them, though.
There's always something missing.
It's the running game, or it's
every year
the defense.
Every year it's been the offensive line for like 5 consecutive years, and then it's something else on top of that. And last year, I'd say, is just bad all-around offensive play, quite frankly. But, yeah, I mean, I think if they can get a couple things figured out, they should be squarely in the mix and potentially could play upset to some of these teams they'll be underdogs
By
against.
the way, I put that up in the note as far as plus or minus wins. 5 wins, 20%. There's already 20 votes pretty quickly on the deal. We'll get to the calls and text 254-339-1122. Try to focus on the question that we're talking about as far as over-under on Baylor wins. 5.5 wins. Actually just saw that change. That just flipped, I believe. Yes, so 19% of 21 votes, which is about 4 votes, 5 wins, one or 2 votes for 5.5 wins. 76+% say 6 wins or 6.5 plus wins.
Well, let's look at it this way. They'll be 3-0. 3-0 to start the season. They play Kansas, Texas Southern, and Texas State. That's 3-0. So after that, can you win 3 more games out of your remaining 9? So can you go 3-6 after starting 3-0? And if not, then you don't deserve to be a bowl team. If you can only go 2-7 with 9 games to play, then yeah, you don't deserve to be a bowl team. But that's basically, I mean, again, there's no reason to lose their first 3 games. None. No reason. So just keeping that in mind and knowing that could still happen, like Lance Leopold's first Big 12 game, maybe he throws out all the tricks or whatever, but they shouldn't lose to Kansas. So, what's their record after 3-0? And 2-7 would not be a fun pill to swallow.
Yeah, I think the 6 wins looks very much doable. It just depends on exactly, can they pull off maybe a game they're not supposed to win, or is a team or two not as good as they should be, or are they a little bit better? Remember the 7-6 team? They found a way. They had to win their last game against Texas Tech, but they found a way to get to the bowl game and then win it. All right, 254-339-1122.
Ryan, you're on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for your call.
Hey, guys. Love the interview with Mark Followill yesterday. As a MFFL, it got me fired up for the series against the Clippers. To answer your question, I would say 5.5 is the perfect number for Baylor's over-under win total. I believe they'll get there. I'm predicting either 7-6 or 6-7 this year, while the defense is a top 20 defense. It's going to depend on the offensive line and the new offense ultimately. And you guys are exactly right as usual. It will depend on the scheme. It's going to depend on how the new offensive coordinator, Jeff Grimes, how he calls plays and whether or not he's going to be a good play caller. I do have one minor complaint, and please don't hang up on me. I need to say this. My one complaint is that you guys talk about the surrounding cities and Central Texas high schools a lot, but not my hometown of Mart, Texas, or Mart High School. Can you please show Mart, Texas some love? Waco needs Mart, Texas. Mart takes Waco's garbage. They do the sewer, and a lot of trucks deliver products from Mart to Waco. Mart is so important to Texas as a whole that I think the politicians should move the capital of Texas from Austin to Mart. What do you guys think?
I agree with you on that. I don't know about the criticism.
You got plenty of room to build the capital.
Thanks for your call,
Hey, first of all, Mart, when it comes to football, in this market, and we cover it, I hope, as well as you could possibly imagine, and we could always do more, and we are always looking at different ways of doing more. Last year, I went back and I did a research of how many different interviews we had from the various high schools, from not just the weekly segments, but one school, and how many we had more as far as players, and Mart was in the top 3. And they should be. They played for another state championship, but I was still stunned that they did not win that game in the championship game. But as far as the city, the capital of Texas, Mart, that's fine with me. Kevin Hoffman should be the governor.
Yeah, look, Austin's had the capital long enough, and based on the last couple weeks or months, they're not wrecking shop. Let's just say it.
Mart's been the most successful 2A team in the last 5 years, probably the last 8 or 10 or 12 years, and of course they're in the conversation for many, many years back into the days of even before the late 90s when they made that another great run. No, we love Mart. I was there. I remember last football season, I went over there and I interviewed Kevin Hoffman as well, and their brand new facilities, what they've done with their bond election and what they've done to that new school and what they've done to the stadium, and they're going to do even more. Man, that place is going, and we love Mart, Texas. Thanks for the call. Appreciate your time. Yeah, I think 6-6. I'll take that, 6-6. I'm not one of those that's ever too optimistic. And if anything, I'm usually one that kind of like tempers my enthusiasm. And I don't know what the enthusiasm would be. Perhaps it's Grimes and it's Mateos and it's also breath of fresh air in certain ways. That defense does appear to be what could be very, very special. There's no question about it. And that's the only way they would, to me, get more than 6 wins in a year. The defense is going to help them win 4 to 5 or 6 games alone. The offense, can they come up with them outscoring somebody on the 1 or 2 times the defense can't keep up? Can they then win a game or 2 with what they're doing with Jeff Grimes and company?
I did this, I think, something similar last week. But, all right, you beat Kansas last year to start the year, 47-14. All right, so that's about what could be expected. But I think that having that as the first game, and I don't know why Kansas keeps ending up at the front half of the schedule. Like, they played them almost the first game like 3 years in a row.
Cowboys and Giants.
Yeah, but Baylor, Kansas. Let's make that Cowboys Giants. Woo! But you beat the dog mess out of them and probably messed up people's expectations as a result of that, because your first game and you're winning by 33 points.
Yeah.
But then after that, let's look at these offensive outputs. 21 points in a 27-21 double overtime loss to West Virginia.
Yeah.
16 points in a 27-16 loss to Texas.
In a game that was there for, I don't want to say there for the taking, but that game, a play or two anywhere offensively in that game.
Texas,
and they gave up like 3 long plays. That game, honestly, they had a chance.
Texas wasn't lighting them up.
Not at the time. No, they weren't. No, they weren't.
So 21 points in a double overtime loss in Morgantown. 16 points in Austin to lose 27-16. 23 points against TCU in a 10-point loss in Waco. 31, like the most they'd scored in a month and a half, basically.
Had Iowa State in trouble.
Craig Williams gets hurt.
The kick, Williams gets hurt, and then Iowa State had that long kick return that kind of flipped the field, so to speak. And then they were just hard. They were hard to handle from that point on.
1-point loss to Tech,
in a game where they just
23 points. And you beat K-State 32-31, and then 14 points against Oklahoma, 3 against Oklahoma. I mean, God, dude, did they crack 20 more than twice
the
at all last year?
The only game they were embarrassed was Oklahoma State, correct? Was that the only game?
That was 42-3.
That got out of hand, and by that time, that team was toast.
Yeah.
They were mentally and physically toast, as we know.
But, I mean, they were lucky to cross 20 points last year.
Yeah.
In this age of college football, like, that's pedestrian.
Well, that's why you have a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterbacks coach, you have a new offensive line coach, a new wide receivers coach, and a lot of other new faces as well.
All right, Greg Barnes once again on this show. You're on SicEm365 Radio. Thanks for your call.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Smokey. How y'all today?
Doing great.
I got a hypothetical for y'all about Baylor football. So, you know how A&M, how they, beat LSU in that 7 overtime game?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, that was when Aranda was their defensive coordinator. Well, hypothetically, if A&M and Baylor played each other, do you think that Baylor would be able to beat A&M?
No.
No.
There have been years in the last decade where they could. The RG3 team went down to College Station, and A&M chewed them up, and especially in the second half. That game was competitive, and then at the end of the second half, they beat them up. A&M has just always been a little bit better, and sometimes a lot better. No, they not right now. Can they at some point? I don't know. But the answer, over the last 10 years, had they continued to play and they didn't separate from conferences, Baylor would have been able to get them. But if you look at the history, it doesn't happen. It hasn't happened very often. That's just true, Sic'em.
Yeah, and if you wanted to talk about this year in particular, I don't know what A&M's going to do in the SEC West. I think they'll be pretty good. I think Haynes King's going to be the quarterback. But outside of him, that roster is loaded. And Jimbo Fisher has got that team stacked full of talent like it hasn't been in a long time. So I think A&M's going to be pretty darn good. I mean, they've got 10 or 11 NFL guys on the roster right now.
All right, one note update, thanks to Scotty B, and I've been monitoring the NCAA, I guess you could say their live scores. Adrian Botan won today in a 3-set, 6-3, 5-7, 6-4. He is now into the Elite Eight in the NCAA singles tournament, that bracket. He now moves into the Elite Eight. That's a big-time 3-set win. When we come back, Bob Herrig from ESPN, looking back from a couple of days ago on Phil Mickelson, the PGA Championship, the tour headed forward, Koepka and DeChambeau, and so much more. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, and David Smoak. And, of course, a cast of a great group behind the scenes, Hayden, Emma, Jack, and Armstrong, SicEm365 Radio.
The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here at home. Waco, Woodway, Hewitt, China Spring, Martin, Hillsboro. Familiar faces making local decisions. Here to help you, your family, and your business, whether it's great times or tough times. All of us need a bank we can count on. Great people with great technology dedicated to their customers and helping our area grow. Safe banking in person or use their online and mobile apps and convenient drive-thrus and ATMs at all locations. Look, when I say familiar faces making local decisions, look, Sloan Keel, Joe Barrow, Mackie Bonner, Jan Coleman, Link Harris, Rhonda Crawford, Lisa Ogletree, Dan Ingham, people like that. Monty Hulse, been with forever. Randall Crawford. They do such an unbelievable job there. And the reason I say those names, and look, they're on my list here, but I've met them all just going to the bank. I mean, that's how it is. It's a local bank, and it's important to have a local bank. Butch Henry, who we worked with for a long time, told me when I had first moved to town, he said, you don't need a big national bank. I had a fraud problem with a national chain. He goes, you need a local bank. They can help you out. And I went to the First National Bank of Central Texas. I have not looked back. Anything I've needed, whether it was a loan to help my credit at one time, and whether it was a loan for my home, they helped me do that. They are there to help you because they know you, because they live here like we do. The First National Bank of Central Texas, 5 locations right here in Home.
Pay over qualified buyer with 4,000 down to 2.9%. TTL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encore. Drive off in the affordable luxury of a Buick Encore for as little as $258 a month. Or vacation in the spacious comfort of a 3-row Buick Enclave and save $8,500. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's the Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717 or cam.heathcott at edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
SicEm365 Radio's coverage of the PGA Championship at the Ocean Course, Kiowa Island, South Carolina is brought to you by Bear Ridge.
Here we go, this Tuesday show, 328, Bob Herrig, at Bob Herrig, H-A-R-I-G on Twitter, ESPN.com, and their senior golf writer joins us, Craig, David, and Paul on SicEm365 Radio. Bob, thanks for your time. We appreciate that. Can you yet wrap your hands or your head around what we saw Mickelson accomplish at Kiowa Island?
Hey, thanks for having me. No, I think already I'm sensing that that we aren't giving it its due. I mean, obviously, it's a big deal that Phil won and that he won his 6th major, and him winning anything is a big deal in golf. But, 50 years old, the oldest major champion ever, after all that had gone on in his career here of late, where he'd really struggled. Nobody, Tom Watson, Jack Nicklaus, Arnold Palmer, none of those guys won a major that old, that late. When Jack won the Masters at 46 was like 56 is now, So, I have a hard time not putting it among like the top 3 of all time. You might put Jack's 86 first. You might have Tiger's Masters win in 19 in there, but I don't know. You can put Phil much below 3rd. It's just an unbelievable accomplishment. His win. He's had his first and last wins are 30 years apart. That's never happened. I mean, it's just the endless number of things that he did is really amazing. And of course, on a really hard golf course where he had no advantage because he didn't know it any better than anybody else that was playing it.
Because of that, how did he hold off everybody? I mean, how did he stay steady? Is it the 50-year-old Phil that wouldn't have done the things that the 35-year-old Phil did? Because, going into Sunday, looking at the leaderboard, I just thought to myself, that's unbelievable that Phil's even here. But, between, Oosthuizen and Koepka or someone is bound to get hot on those par 5s and knock him off his perch, and it just didn't happen.
I think that's part of it. There's some good fortune there. The chasing pack didn't exactly go out and fire a low score. Oosthuizen is a very accomplished player. He's finished runner-up in all of the majors. He's won one, known for a great swing. He's won 8 or 9 times in Europe. But he just didn't apply the pressure. Same with Koepka, who, for all that he's done, was pretty mediocre Sunday. He made a double bogey on the 2nd hole. That gave Phil life. Phil had fallen behind immediately out of the gate. Phil looked shaky. Bogey's the first hole with 3-putt. Koepka birdies, and they flip. But on the next hole, when Phil steadied himself, Koepka makes double bogey on a par 5. That is just something. It's hard to overcome that. And I think it gave Phil a boost. He was able to relax. He knew that it wasn't going to be easy for the other guys. And to your point, I don't know that he completely abandoned the 35-year-old Phil. There were some pretty aggressive plays that might have, been risky. But he's certainly more within himself and more patient and cognizant of, when par is a good score. And so I think you add all those things in, and it is a different Phil who sort of surveyed the landscape and plotted his way around a little bit differently than he might have in the past.
What did you think of that Koepka DeChambeau video that's gone viral here over the last 24 hours?
Yeah, boy, somebody somewhere is going to be in trouble, I think, if they ever get to the root of that. I mean, anybody who's been in this knows that every now and then there's something that is not meant to be aired. And obviously that one wasn't. But in any case, there is friction between those two. I actually think that some of it is just kind of silly. I mean, in that case, like how Brooks let that get to him is beyond me. Like Bryson wasn't talking to him. He wasn't interfering with him. He was walking behind him. And from what I understand, Bryson was talking to his caddy and sort of complaining about this bad break or that bad break or what the court, but guys do that, and Brooks overheard it. And as the eye roll said it all. Mm-hmm. And it distracted him, it's just kind of wild, but yeah, they have a history. They're not buddies. It should make for a fun Ryder Cup is what I've been saying when they're going to be on the same team.
Remember when they tried to pair Mickelson and Tiger on the same team. I know that obviously Tiger, we don't know if he'll ever swing a club again, and hopefully he'll be able to live a normal life again. Bob, do you think this is not going to happen? But if in fact there was another Ryder Cup where Mickelson and Tiger were on the same team, are they now to a point where they could be paired together because of how when you get older you mellow and you start to maybe appreciate things a little bit more?
I mean, I think there was talk about it in 2018, actually, when they went to France, and their relationship had mellowed. But I really think from a strategic standpoint, whether or not they get along, I'm not sure it makes sense. At this point in their careers, and this to me was the mistake that was made in Paris with Tiger. You need, and again, now this is hard with these guys because of their fame and sort of their standing in the game, but they need to be the back seat in the partnership. They need a stronger partner who's deemed better. Like Tiger and Patrick Reed wasn't going to work out very well when Reed really, really looks up to Tiger, and would have deferred to him. Tiger that week after winning the Tour Championship, he needed to be able to lean on somebody. Mm-hmm. So that's why I always thought him playing with Justin Thomas would have been a much better pairing, even though Justin Thomas looks up to him too. Thomas is a much stronger player, and Tiger could have, let him know, I'm leaning on you. And so, in fact, they partnered together at the President's Cup and did really well in 2019. Same with Phil. At this point, he needs a horse to carry him. He can't be the horse. So you put the two of them together, and I'm not sure that that's a great scenario at this point in their careers. Now, back in 2004, when they were, the fact that didn't work is more just a testament to, I think, like hard-headedness among both of them, and certainly they were good enough to put their differences aside and get it done. But they didn't. They lost twice, and they were never paired together again.
Bob Harrigan, ESPN, golf writer with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Bob, Rory McIlroy went into this thing the very much the heavy favorite, and then came out. Didn't have a great week. Dustin Johnson in the two majors this year it's not been good, and either one of them after an unbelievable year last year. What's going on with those two guys?
Great question. I mean, on Dustin, I don't know what to make of it. Guys fall out of form, but it's they have their ups and downs, but it's surprising that he's missed the cut in two majors, and he did take the week off before that he was scheduled to play because he said his knee was bothering him. He did. I kind of saw that as a precaution. I was surprised that it turned that maybe there's more to it. I don't know. In Rory's case, he won at Quail Hollow, and I think that was a bit of an outlier. That was a course that he knows well. It was the third time he won there. He really likes the course. He putted great, which he's an average putter at best on tour. His stats are way below average, actually. But that week, he putted really, really well and made up for some poor driving. Well, he didn't drive it much better at Kiowa, and he didn't get the putter to bail him out. So, he still was a work in progress anyway. It's great that he won. It was great for his confidence. It shows how good he is that he was able to win without his best. But when Rory's at his best, he's driving it well. And he just has not been doing that. He's been working on some swing issues with a new coach. And you can just tell. I mean, he kind of has a two-way miss going. He sometimes misses it to the right, sometimes to the left. Seems like he's just not committed to what he's doing, at least not yet. And so that's held him back.
The ending on the 18th fairway, which became almost an open championship when they engulfed Phil Mickelson and Brooks Koepka, it did get out of hand. Have you ever seen that on a United States at a PGA event like that in your life?
Well, when Tiger won the Tour Championship in 2018, that happened.
Okay.
But it was a lot less people, and it was more under control. It was a lot of people. Go back and watch that. I mean, that was a really cool scene, but nobody thought that was dangerous. It was neat, and Tiger got caught up in there a little bit, and Rory was playing with him actually that day. And And so the scene was reminiscent, but this was both players. You couldn't see either of them. There was way more people on that hole than there was at Eastlake in Atlanta. And, at one point it looked like somebody tried to jump on Phil's back, or, they certainly, I don't know that Tiger and Rory ever got touched, or certainly not in any kind of physical way, whereas both Phil and Koepka did. And so it was that was a bit unnerving, as Phil said. But under the circumstances, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying it's almost, you can understand it. Nobody was expecting that. And they clearly, due to the protocols going into this thing, all of these tournaments have less volunteers, less help. But they let in more fans, and it kind of caught up with them a little bit there on that hole.
I'm watching the video. I dialed it up, Bob, and you're right. There were throngs, thousands of people, but it seemed as if security was slightly ahead of that, as they kind of anticipated that. You're right. I forgot about that moment. I don't know why, because I love the win by Tiger, but yeah, there was so much more in control, even though there's a massive humanity as well.
I'm kind of surprised it's never happened in Phoenix. That thing gets kind of wild. So,
yeah, there's too many cactus around. Yeah,
there's a couple of times it's happened with Tiger, years ago when he won the Western Open, but it was all very contained. It was like the marshals allowed it to happen, and they held them back with ropes. Here, Phil was there was nowhere for him to go. And, people had been drinking. It was pretty wild. It was warm. Just a lot of factors. And all it takes is one, frankly. Let's be honest. All it takes is one for something bad to happen. But thankfully, I think everybody came out of it. And it was, I think it's going to go down as a pretty cool scene.
Brooks Koepka has 4 majors. Is it more often than not you win them? You win them in clumps like McIlroy did, Spieth did early, what Koepka did over a certain amount of time. Is that the norm? And I've followed golf for a long, long time, and I know that Nicklaus with his 18 and Tiger with his 15, and it's a different animal. But is that what usually happens, is you win them in clumps and then you might add 1 or 2 along the way?
Yeah, if you go back and look at some of these careers, yeah, Jack won his majors 24 years apart. Tiger is 22 years apart, from first to last. Even Phil right now is only 16 or 17, and that's a pretty long time. But Arnold Palmer won all of his between 1958 and 1964. Watson, I believe, was 75 to 83. So we're not even talking a 10-year period. They were all in that range. Rory's won 4 from 2011 to 2014 and hasn't won one since, and he's only 32. There's no reason why he shouldn't be able to win more. Koepka's were bunched together. I actually think Koepka, at this point, you have to dismiss some of this. He's not 100%. And the fact that he was even there with a chance is pretty amazing. I gave him no shot going into that tournament. I just didn't see it. He had played 4 competitive rounds of golf since the end of February. He had knee surgery on March 16th. Most of us would still be milking that for a couple of months, barely getting around. And here he tried to play the Masters. He tried to play the Byron Nelson, missed the cut in both. And here he is with a chance to win. I think that's pretty remarkable just that he was there. So Brooks needs to get healthy, because I think the way he's wired, he should be able to win some more, or certainly have the opportunity.
How much do you think he's disappointed, knowing, as you mentioned, after that first hole, it looked like, okay, this is back to normal, and that maybe Mickelson would make another mistake at some point? How much has it got to eat at him? Because he wasn't expected, as you said, because he hadn't played a lot of competitive rounds, but then had one right there at his fingertips and did not take care of it.
It always has to eat at you when you have a chance and don't get it done. Because there's a lot of times you're just not going to have the chance. At the PGA last year in San Francisco, Brooks was only 2 back going into the final round. There was a lot of guys there in contention. And he shot 74, fell way out of it. if you could give him truth serum, you figure he's got to believe he can beat Colin Morikawa down the stretch of a major, as good as Colin is. But still, he didn't get it done. He didn't have it. I think part of it, and, at the U.S. Open in 2019, he finished second to Gary Woodland, going for a third straight U.S. Open. It's hard, and so this time, though, I think that if there's a disappointment or if there's any second guessing, it's like he's got to be going, man, I wish I was way closer to 100% healthy, because some of the shots that he hit were poor.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just the putting. He bemoaned his putting, but he put himself in some bad spots to make some of those scores. The one on 2, and he had some issues on the back 9 where he was struggling just to make par. And obviously he shot over par for the round. So he was he didn't put the heat on Phil that he would have loved to have. If he avoids double bogey on the second hole and just makes a par there, and they're tied after that hole, you wonder how much different things might have been.
Hey, Bob, thanks for your time. I know it was an amazing weekend. I know the Memorial's around the corner, obviously Colonial this week in Fort Worth, and then they head to Torrey Pines and eventually Royal St. George for the Open Championships. Good to see things back to normal, so to speak, on the PGA Tour. Thank you for being a part of the show, and good luck the rest of the tour, covering it the way you do.
I appreciate it. Thanks so much for having me.
Bob Herrig, ESPN golf writer, ESPN senior golf writer on Phil Mickelson, the PGA Tour, on Koepka and DeChambeau. Do you have that, Armstrong? This is. Did you
play
say
that?
Can we play it?
There's a lot of cuss words in this.
No,
thing.
it's censored.
No, just the video, right? This is just the video. Oh, it's edited?
Yeah,
okay.
It's censored.
Okay, go ahead. This is it.
I don't know what other guys have said, or I just felt it difficult to read. Sometimes. Sometimes I lost my train of thought. Yeah, hearing that. Christ.
How much of that is he's also frustrated? That's the second round, though. He actually was in position. That was the second. He has allowed DeChambeau to get under his skin, and that Koepka has the 4 majors to the 1.
Well, and Koepka is supposed to be the easygoing guy. I think part of it is because he's the one. When you see me on TV, that's when I play golf. That's Koepka's deal. But you can just tell he's frustrated with the end of the round, and then he hears.
Well, that's the second round.
Yeah, but Bryson said something,
Oh yeah.
That was either to him or about, like he thought was to him or about him, and then they just dislike each other so much. You can just tell he's just like,
The clicking of the metal spikes is what I noticed. Is just somebody listening to the audio. That also is annoying, even though that used to be what everybody used to wear. Now you have the soft spikes, right? And then just the fact that they don't like each other, and Koepka's called him out for slow play, and then also when DeChambeau said, I've got abs and Koepka doesn't, even though Koepka's got the great-looking body, but he throws out the 4 majors I'm 2 away from a 6-pack. And, after the slow play comment, DeChambeau approached his caddy, this is 2019 or so, and said something, hey, if he has something to say to me, he needs to come say it to me. And Koepka did. Koepka only said his name one time in the entire deal talking about slow play, because that was the day when DeChambeau just went nuclear slow, like way slow, like an 8-footer, and he looked at it every angle, and he took like the book, looked over the book. Ben Crane used to be known as the slowest player on tour for a long time, still might be, but DeChambeau now but he's winning, he's won, although he's been kind of non-existent now after that win. He won the U.S. Open where no one expected him to. He looked like he went demonic with his eyes rolling the way they did. Like a teenager who's upset or annoyed with their parent. All right, when we come back, I got a note about Dee Richards, New York Liberty. A note about Dee Richards last night and what she did twice as much as she ever did at Baylor in 4 years, and also the first time and never did at Baylor. Next on SicEm365 Radio.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Alan Samuels is holding the Memorial Day sales event on the new 2021 Ram Lone Star Crew Cab trucks at Alan Samuels. The three-peat Motor Trend Truck of the Year is built to serve. Right now, get total values up to $6,750 or 0% for 72 months. Great opportunities during the Memorial Day sales event at Alan Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco. Come see the Ram Lone Star Crew Cab. The big Memorial Day sales event won't last long. Visit Alan Samuels today or online at alansamuelsdcj.com.
Come by. Let's be friends.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has protected fellow Texans with auto, home, health, and life insurance since 1952. With more than 260,000 square miles of land and 27 million people, that's a lot to cover. Whether you're wrangling cattle or wrangling kids, we're proud to protect Texans in all Texan ways of life.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, last night, Dee Richards of the New York Liberty hit a 3. The video came up, and Dee Richards, former Baylor All-American, hit a 3. It made me think. And before you know the answer now, okay, I'll ask Craig. How many threes do you think Dee Richards attempted in her 4 years at Baylor? Not that she was a shooter. She's not known for her shooting. She hit a lot of those mid-range shots, if she did, and some layups. But on over 4 years, how many do you think she took?
10.
Okay. What would you have said until I brought it up? What would you have said?
Like 14.
Yeah,
you know, something like that. I mean,
Armstrong, what would you have said had I asked you, well, you don't follow them much, but Just to give it. Jack, what would you have said? 5. Hayden, Dee Richards, how many? 10. Emma said 26. Okay, so she actually didn't say anything. In her career at Baylor, Dee Richards, her senior year did not take a 3. Her freshman year, she shot 1 3 and missed it. Never took one as a sophomore, junior, or senior. Now, I'm not trying to insinuate anything other than the fact she was not one of a long-range shooter. She was not known for her shooting. But when she took that little mid-range, kind of a knuckleball, she was pretty good at it. Most of the time, her stuff was great defense. And last year, she struggled a little bit on occasion at point guard. But she was known for the layups or maybe the little 10 or 12-footers. She hit a 3 last night for the New York Liberty. She never hit. She was 0 for 1 in her 4 years at Baylor. And if you look at the video of her hitting the 3, it looked natural. She stepped back behind the three-point line to shoot the 3 and made it.
There she goes. Maybe. And then look, Baylor, Coach Mulkey didn't live by the 3 or die by the 3.
No,
she lived on defense. It was different. It was down low. I mean, everything flowed through the low post. Players with size. That's how it worked. They had some games where people would light up threes, but mostly, you can probably count on
Landrum, Dejanay Carrington, Odyssey Sims, and there's a few others.
Emily Neiman, the first in 05, was drunk from 3 quite a bit.
And the 40-0 team had a couple of girls that could shoot the ball from the perimeter, but that wasn't their style. I'm not trying to, but.
Well, I worked for 3 national titles and got them close to some others.
But at the same time, you wonder if she was even, if she missed the one as a freshman, if she don't ever shoot another 3. But she looked natural doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
So, I don't know. So I just brought that up because she hit a 3 for the Liberty. I think they're 5-1 this year. Connecticut with Dejanay Carrington, she plays a few minutes here and there, is undefeated at this particular time.
I mean, that's cool. She shot a 3 and made it. She didn't do that in her career at Baylor much. That's why the Lady Bears response was funny. I don't know if you saw that. I thought that's who you were going to bring up. What the Lady Bears tweeted at the video of Dee hitting that 3 and said, basically, where was this? They did that last night, and it was pretty funny. So, I thought that's what you're referring to. But, it was good for Dee to make a shot, and hopefully she's doing well in New York. It certainly seems so far.
She seems like she's having a blast of a time. Again, as I mentioned, as we wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, Arthur Rhoades at 4, Mack Rhoades, different spelling, will join us at 4:20. Again, Adrian Botan has moved into the Elite 8. He will now play somebody out of a player from North Carolina in the Elite 8. And Scotty, our good friend, the great Scotty, said to me and to us, this might even actually be on YouTube. He becomes the first player for Baylor men's tennis to make it to the Elite 8 in singles since 2008.
Wow.
So that's a long stretch for a program that has been very much relevant when it comes to the national beat when it comes to what men's tennis has produced over the years. From Ryan, I can't even remember Dee taking shots outside of 13, 14 feet. I can't remember her ever taking to 3 unless it was it. And that's not even like a half-court shot at the end of the game or half. She never did that either. And maybe that was the one shot when she was a freshman. Coming up next, Arthur Rhoades, 20 years Major League pitcher. His thoughts about baseball, his thoughts about, many things. And also Mack Rhoades at 4:20, SicEm365 Radio.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rhoades Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rhoades Barbecue. Next in line.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab blood work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T as board-certified physician consultations will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like our free First mobile app, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. That's the First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Nolis Garcia to the plate. And that's in the air, out to right field. Tucker is back to the wall. How about it, big fella? A 3-run homer. And the Rangers walk it off in the 10th inning. The great Bambino comes through again.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, Paul Catalina is trying to track down Arthur Rhoades, the great from La Vega, and then also a 20-year veteran of Major League Baseball. Yesterday, David Murphy. Today, Arthur Rhoades, if we can track him down. Mack Rhoades a little bit later on in the hour as well. Earlier today, we had Bob Herrig from ESPN on the PGA Tour, the championship won by Mickelson. Mark Vidal, coming up on Saturday at Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. From 10 until 11, join the dealership and a community meet and greet with the national champion himself and Mark Vidal. Meet and greet, autographs, giveaways, and much more. Mark will join us, by the way, on the show. I think it's tomorrow to discuss his meet and greet on Saturday morning at Allen Samuels.
Yeah, that's cool for Mark. Kind of thing he can do now with not having the college career active. So I've seen him be pretty active as far as putting stuff up and having like a social media presence and all of that. So, good for him. And hopefully a lot of people turn out for that Saturday at 10 a.m. out at Allen Samuels.
Really and thoroughly enjoyed that time a couple of weeks ago or so it was with him on this show. And many things in basketball was only a part of what we discussed. A lot of it was about living life and getting through life and what he's dealt with himself and what is passionate to him, which is mental depression and mental emotions and things like that. Also, the poll, do you agree with Vegas? Baylor football, plus or minus total wins, 5.5. And so I put up a poll that has 5 wins, 5.5, 6, and 6.5. right now, 6 wins, 44.4%. Now, this is the 12-game regular season. 35.4%, 6.5 wins. 11% at 5 wins, and just over 9% say 5.5. That's about right, the middle section of 44%. Or in other words, 60% saying that 6 wins, 5 wins or more. 5.5 or 6 wins, excuse me.
So 80% of the fan base thinks they should be a bowl team, basically.
Oh, no, absolutely. 79.9%, absolutely, yeah.
80% thinks they should be a bowl team.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, I'm right there with them.
Is that optimism or is that legitimacy?
I think, again, like the way I've broken it down twice now, they won 2 games last year, right, out of 9. They were in every game but like 1 or 2. I mean, literally losing by a point or 3 points or, you know, I mean, the Oklahoma State game was a blowout, but outside of that, like, I mean, they basically lost by 10 points or less to everybody, and that was with no offense. No offense. Like, tell me any time last year where you felt good about the offense in any single game. We sat there and watched them for 3 hours every Saturday, look like they had never practiced offense before, for the most part. And so, you know, maybe I'm in hindsight making it worse than it was, but I don't think so. Like, that was tough to watch last year. And it's like almost they would get the ball back and you'd go, oh, because you knew what was going to happen. 3rd and long. And, like, I was thinking about this earlier. I don't know that I've ever seen a team where it seemed like the field was 200 yards long. But that's what it felt like with Baylor. It felt like it took them 100 yards to get to the 50, and then it took them another 100 yards to try and get to the end zone. And that's how it felt watching them. So I have to believe with an offseason and spring ball and new coaches and just the realization of, like, this is what held us back last year, I have to believe that is – significantly better. Now, I don't think they're going to be, 2011 Baylor or 2013 Baylor scoring 60 points a game, but they could score well more than, I don't even know what their average was last year. It probably had to be about 20.
Baylor's points per game?
Yeah, probably like 20.
I would have thought 18 or 19
Yeah, I need to look that up.
And
maybe the Kansas game with the 47 or whatever they scored in there, messes that up. But, I mean, you're only really looking at 4 more wins, and you're adding 3 more games to the schedule. So being in every game last year but 1, you're playing 2 teams that should be automatic wins. You're playing a BYU team that is losing their tackle, their quarterback. They're losing a lot. Their offensive coaches. So, I mean, there's a lot of avenues, and this is not even including them playing upset to anybody. Like, this is not even me predicting them to beat Texas or to beat Oklahoma. I'm just saying on paper, their non-conference, that should be 3 wins, even though BYU will be tough. But again, they lost a lot. And Kansas, there's 4. So find 2 more in there, and I think you'll be going to a bowl game. So it seems pretty simple to me.
I do think that Brigham Young is consistent and good enough.
Yeah, that's not an automatic.
You're going to have to be playing at a pretty high level. Overall, you're going to have to be playing at a pretty high level if you're going to win that game, whether it's at home, if it was neutral, or in Provo as well.
But at the same time, if you're losing your left tackle, you're losing your top 5 quarterback. Like, I don't care how solid the program is. I mean, unless they're the Bryles Baylor teams where it didn't matter who played quarterback, unless it did matter eventually when you got down to, like, your 4th-string Chris Johnsons and those guys. But outside of that, if any of your top 2 or 3 guys were playing, you felt good about it. I mean, I'm sure BYU is solid. I don't know if they're that solid, though, that you just lose a top 5 guy and you're, hey, here's the next dude that's going to be great at QB. Maybe they do. But regardless, a new quarterback's going to have to face a really good defense. And to me, for Baylor, if they can just get a little bit better on defense and then get a lot better on offense, which I don't think getting a lot better is that difficult to do, really, because you were so bad that even some minor improvement makes you a drastically different-looking team. That's maybe I'm being optimistic, but I don't think so. I think I'm just being realistic about what they faced last year and what the schedule looks like.
They averaged about 23 points a game, which surprises me.
That's the Kansas game, though.
That skews it out, especially 40 whatever it was, because over 9 games, that's a 4 or 5 point difference right there. They had 210 points over 9 games. That's about 20. That's about 23 points a game.
Yeah, they bookended it with their best and worst game of the year. By the way, nothing on Arthur Rhoades. I do have a theory, though, knowing Arthur.
Playing golf.
Look, the sun came out, and he hasn't been able to play golf all week. I guarantee you. Like, his mind went blank, and just all he saw was sunshine and golf, and that's where he is.
Well, we have an opening after Mack. We have Craig's off the radar. We have an opening about 5:20. By then, maybe he's not on 18 or in the 19th hole. But it was great. I wanted to get him on. I wanted to get Arthur Rhoades on because I wanted to get another opinion from David Murphy, a couple of older school guys, and Arthur Rhoades, a pitcher, about the new baseball. I do love these new young stars. There's a couple of times I'm like, a little turned off. Not even turned off. I'm turned off with a lot of things NBA. I'm not turned off with the young players who have fun and celebrate. And baseball could probably use a kick in the butt and get a little bit more fresh anyway.
I'm just more turned off in baseball to the fact that it's strikeouts and home. It's just
I
all
agree.
or nothing.
Feast or famine.
Yeah, it's just all or nothing kind of a thing. And a game where I'm going to watch, like, if I watch plus it kind of takes it away. Used to when you'd watch a game and a team got struck out 17 times, you'd be like, oh my gosh. And I was like, well, what keeps happening? I'd rather see, I like to see station-to-station baseball sometimes. If you can't hit home runs.
You remember the Royals team that won 3 to 5 years ago?
That's what they did, yeah.
They had unbelievable, almost incredible team speed. They got, a high chopper. I don't want to see that because the old turf brings up the old turf of like St. Louis, Kansas City. They had a great defense, had a hell of a pitching staff, had a tremendous bullpen, and they would beat you, wear you down with their speed.
Yeah, and I was, even though he played for the Mariners, I loved Ichiro. I was a huge Ichiro fan, and Ichiro probably today would have to amend his style. And I think Ichiro, he was such a good hitter that he could have decided, I'm just going to be a dead pull hitter and I'll hit 25 home runs a year. But instead of that, he's like, no, I'm going to hit 340 every time that I can, and I'm going to hit all these infield singles. And that's why it was fun to watch Ichiro, because if you're playing the Mariners, you're looking, the dude's on base, and you're the first guy of the game's on base, and he's already in your head. And those kind of things I just miss. Those kind of strategy, which is now baseball, is like, well, I hit ball over wall. That's what I do.
If you look at the guys hitting 320 or higher, let's talk about these as individuals. Are they also power hitters? Nick Castellanos.
Not particularly, no.
12 home runs.
Yeah.
Jesse Winker, both from Cincinnati, has 13 home runs. Right. You're mean Mercedes.
Oh, yeah, he's a power hitter.
6 home runs.
Yeah, but I mean, he's like, you watch him play.
Xander Bogaerts.
No, not necessarily.
10 home runs.
I mean, he's got power, but he's just a good hitter.
Those who have less than 10 home runs, who hit 320 or better right now, are Mercedes, Adam Frazier of Pittsburgh, the Mike Trout, who's been on the disabled list. He has 8, so he would have had up 10 by now. Austin Riley is right at 320. He has 7 home runs. But there's not many guys with like 1 or 2. There's not many guys with 1 or 2. And there's not many. I don't know enough about watching baseball tonight. I used to love that show. I don't even know when it is anymore. And again, this is not get off my lawn, but the days of Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, and guys who could slap it around, hit 330 and be valuable at the top of the order or hitting third, whatever it might have been.
I just like a lineup that has guys that can do a bunch of different things.
Yeah, not just swing or miss or hit 440-foot bombs.
Aren't you kind of like directing baseball away from small ball, though, when you decide to put guys on second automatically when we get to extra innings?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not small ball. It's like, hey, who can score the fastest with a guy already halfway around the bases?
But it takes small ball to get him in from second. That's what's
But like the whole getting him to second in the first place, like, that should be part of the game. Getting him on base should be part of the game, not just he's automatically there.
It's the most of everything of me. Over the years of watching sports, there's a lot of things, like on the PGA Tour, they can tap down spike marks. I always wondered why they couldn't do that anyway, and that's something that some people don't like. But putting someone on second base because you want to speed up the game and maybe not wear out the bullpen. The first thing the other team has done, I don't know if it's on average, I don't know what the stats are. You guys help me. Is walk the next guy to force a force out?
I mean, you can. But, I mean, I don't think everybody's just doing that automatically.
I don't like the rule just
like
because.
Blue pit, game's over.
I don't like the rule just because they pulled it from beer league softball.
Yeah.
So that you can, that rule exists in city softball leagues so that, the umpires aren't staying and they've got 4 games to do and they're not at the ball field until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Because, these two teams.
Hey, they want to keep playing at 2 a.m. They've got like 9 beers in them by then.
But the umpires and the groundskeepers and the security kindergarten want to go home. That's why that rule exists.
Yeah. All right, when we come back, Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhoades, we'll try to track down Arthur Rhoades and get him on. We'll be good with that. And maybe even have more time with him at 5 o'clock. David Hellman, Cowboys are in OTAs. John McClain will join us today at about 5:30. SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. They've got great deals going on right now, and of course they do. They always have great deals going on over at Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, and travel is back, so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Get back on the road with the sophistication and luxury of a Buick. Richard Carr is loaded with Buick SUVs, all priced to move. You can save $5,900 on 2021 Buick Encores, $4,500 on Encore GXs, $3,900 on midsize Buick Envisions. They've also got space, luxury, and affordability in the Buick Enclave, a perfect family travel vehicle with 3 rows of first-class seating and a smooth, quiet ride. Right now, save $8,500 on all 2021 Buick Enclaves in stock. And Richard Carr is also loaded with premium pre-owned cars and trucks. All pre-owned cars and trucks are priced to move during the Memorial Day Savings Event with multiple cars priced under $200 a month for qualified buyers. Richard Carr Motors is your local Waco family dealer. They take pride in serving their neighbors and want to earn your business with great prices, free oil changes, and superior service after the sale. So come by the clean and disinfected showroom to take a test drive, or let them bring the test drive to you. It's the Memorial Day Savings Event going on all month at Richard Carr.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jeweler, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more. With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics Mack Rhoades is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers, Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, here we go, this 4 o'clock hour. Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor, with us. Craig Smoak, Paul Catalina, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. So I have this SicEm365 helicopter, and I was flying around. I saw your backyard. When did you put that Indianapolis Final Four court on your deck?
I have not done that. Do not start any rumors.
So how does, and I know this is kind of off the wall, we asked you a little bit about it after the tournament, but what happens? Do you buy the logo? Do you buy the entire court? How does that work, and what's the timeline of the process?
Yeah, so you actually buy the entire court, and I'm not sure exactly where we are in the process. We've not received it yet, but what we are doing, which I think is really cool, is we're meeting with the architects, and really talking about how we could use elements of both that court and then maybe the 2005 women's basketball court, championship court, and how we could potentially work elements of the floor into the pavilion design. So, is there opportunity, right, to put certain elements potentially in the concourse where masses can see it? Are there some elements that we could put into the locker room areas and maybe even practice gym areas? So that actually has been a really cool and fun exercise, and we actually looked at some potential opportunities, creative opportunities last Thursday. So it's going to be really cool. And again, to use, 2 different championship courts and have that woven into the new facility.
Do they give you a tracking number to make sure you can follow it before it gets there?
By that question that you just asked, Paul, I'm probably going to go check the minute to make sure that you don't intercept it somewhere. So.
Well, I see your deck, and it's got that NCAA logo, Indianapolis, whatever else on it. It looks beautiful. It really, really does. Craig?
Mac, a lot of sports wrapping up or starting to wrap up, getting close to wrapping up. Men's tennis was one that fell, unfortunately, in the national championship game to Florida. Florida, obviously, a really, really good team, but just your thoughts on the season as a whole, runners-up in indoor and outdoor. And obviously, Michael Woodson gets the full-time gig, as we've talked about previously. But your thoughts on men's tennis as a whole?
Yeah, I was just, I think in general, when you take a look at the entire season from start to finish, just really proud of our young men. Did such a great job competing and fighting through adversity, and Michael did a great job of leading them, and the staff did, and to make it all the way to the championship match, and as you mentioned, up against a really talented Florida team, and not making excuses, but somewhat of a home match for Florida, and the crowd was pretty raucous and almost like a football stadium crowd rather than a tennis match crowd. But just proud of the way that they battled, and they had a really tough match in the Final Four versus Tennessee, and we're able to grit through that one, and then came up a little bit short against Florida, but really proud of them, and just a great year. And told Michael and all of them to keep your head up, keep your chin up, because nothing to be ashamed of. And now, how do you use this experience, and how do we grow from it, learn from it, and use it as a way to catapult to continue to have great success in future years.
And Boitan won today. He's in the Elite Eight. First time a Baylor men's tennis player has been in the Elite Eight back since 2008. As good as the program has been, that's a long time, and good for him. And I bet he's probably flat out almost exhausted like toast.
He's only a sophomore. He's got some great years ahead. And I don't know if you watched it, but that first set match against his opponent, Florida, down 2 breaks, and for him to come back from 2 breaks and end up winning that set was incredible. But he's a great young man, and certainly proud of him, and glad that he's only a sophomore.
Mack, a lot has been made this last week. ESPN did a very in-depth article about transfer portal tampering, and the fact that now that the rule's out there, everybody knows what the rule is. How long do you think it'll be before the NCAA, college athletics, kind of gets their arms around what people are going to do to skirt those rules in the new transfer portal era?
Yeah, I read the article, and that literally is everybody's worst nightmare when we think about just this proliferation of transfer and the transfer portal, and now making it easier than ever, able to transfer, at least one time without sitting out a year. And so I think that article is reality. And I think what's hard is I don't know how you police it, monitor it. Even if you have stiff penalties for tampering, all of the quote unquote third party people that could be involved in it, whether it's high school coach or someone else, and then that the article even went into players on roster reaching out to other players, asking if they're happy and would they have interest. And so that's the reality that we're all going to have to deal with. And I don't know how you monitor it. I really don't. Is there a call to action by all of the head coaches, asking everyone to have great integrity with it? Does that work? And I hate to have, this attitude, but I don't know that it does. We know that there's certain people out there that don't do it by the rules, don't do it the right way. And they, continue to do it and prosper. And so, I don't know, it's going to be something that we're going to have to navigate and certainly keep an eye on. And, look, we're benefactors of transfers coming in. I also think that this puts an absolute premium on developing great relationships with your roster, and not just the 2 deep. I really appreciated Coach Fickle's comments within the article. I thought those were honest and completely honest and transparent, and it's the truth. We're gonna have to do a great job of developing relationships. 1 through 110, 125, or however many on the roster, can't just be your starters and your 2 deep.
We know now that it appears as if full capacity will be headed into the 2021 football season. How then are you looking at, or you're discussing tailgating and what can be done? Is it going to be basically, if it's 100% capacity, then tailgating goes back to the norm of 2019?
Yeah, that's the conversation right now. We're absolutely doing tailgating, and in fact, more than 150 tailgate packages have been renewed already for the 21 season. And so, our plan, our vision right now is to return, just like seating capacity, but return tailgating to full capacity. Haven't made that decision 100% yet, but I think that's where we're going to land, and looking forward to just trying to get back to normal as best we can. And again, always trying to do it in the safest manner as possible. So we're excited about it.
Mack, it was probably, 2 or 3 weeks ago when we brought up the NCAA, the investigation that I know you can't really say much about it, but it's there. Everyone knows it. You've discussed it a little bit. And you thought maybe the timeline might be by the early summer. And the early summer is staring us right in the face. Where are you or they with that?
Yeah, I mean, I wish I could give you a great answer. We're still waiting. And, a lot has happened the last certainly year, 15 months because of COVID, and it's impacted the NCAA, the ability to work and carry on business as usual, was obviously impacted. And then because of revenue shortfalls and some of the things that they did personnel wise, and so not as many people as normal, right? And so there's absolute grace there. But on the same hand, I mean, it needs to be concluded. And I go back to my first day on the job was mid-August of 2016, and the process had already begun. And, we've got student athletes on our roster right now that were in junior high. So it's time for this to conclude, and we're waiting.
Mack, where are you guys as far as vaccinations for athletes and how you're going to handle that as they go for the summer and come back? If they have not gotten vaccinated yet, how do you navigate that? Because there are people who don't want to get it for whatever reason, and then to prevent big outbreaks, you're probably going to need to have your team, at a certain percentage before the season starts.
Yeah, it's a topic right now, Paul, that we're absolutely actively discussing, and we'll be in line with the institution, where we're going to strongly encourage our student athletes to be vaccinated, not mandating. But we're going to work with our student athletes. They took some time off right after finals, and then many of them, if not most of them, are coming back to campus right around the 1st of June for the first session of summer school, and we'll begin to work with them and again strongly encourage the conversation within the Big 12 with the medical directors for each institution. I certainly think and believe there'll be COVID testing in the fall for the fall sports for those that have not been vaccinated. I think it's still too early to tell exactly what that looks like and what the frequency of it would be. Do we get to a model where if you're at a certain percentage, if you cross that threshold, then we talk about herd immunity, and so maybe nobody has to be vaccinated, and what that percentage is, it's probably going to depend upon maybe CDC and or local community. So those are all of the things that we've been talking been talking about. What you hope is that we can get to a place that we have enough vaccinated where we can have meetings back in regular meeting rooms. So, for instance, we can have the team meeting in the team meeting room and not in the indoor where everybody's spread out 6 feet apart. And so that's what we're hoping, that we can get to that place. But still some of it to unfold. But I do think there will be testing at minimum in the fall for those that have not been vaccinated.
Matt, question about the this distribution of various conference money. The Big Ten, of course, has a massive TV package. The SEC, the Big 12 is right now in the middle among the Big Ten and SEC, then the Pac-12 and the ACC. 37 to 40.5 million distributed to each school. And I don't know where it is, give or take $1 million or 10, and I know it's money. But are you blown away that that number is where it is, considering what everyone dealt with last year?
Yeah, it is more than any one of us, and I'm talking about the 10 institutions, more than any one of us anticipated. I give Commissioner Bowlesby and that the entire staff a lot of credit. I give our TV partners a lot of credit as well. The NCAA for pulling off both tournaments, all of those things. The CFP for that happening, but the conference office did a tremendous job. They cut their expenses significantly. And because of it, the distribution to each of us was extremely healthy, and like I said, more than anticipated. And we're the Big 12, I think, is in a really, really good place. You mentioned kind of where we sit in terms of revenue distribution per institution, right in the middle. And we're going to continue to be aggressive. Continue to try to find ways. It's not a secret that the TV contract for the Big 12 with our TV partners expires the 24-25 season, and so there's a lot to think about. But the Big 12 is as healthy as it's ever been, and not just from a revenue standpoint. Certainly, that's a big part of it, but just the cohesiveness of the 10-member institutions, and that certainly starts with the CEOs, but also the athletic directors. And again, we're in a really healthy place, and I credit Commissioner Bowlesby for that.
Nikki Collin mentioned to some of the TV stations late in the week when she did a tour of them about the fact she would like to have her staff somewhat, I guess, set by maybe midweek this week. I saw her speak at a Rotary Club event yesterday. Has she shared with you, or has there been, how has she handled, okay, people want to know, like everyone wants to know. And I know a couple of the non-conference games that I mentioned yesterday that are going to be released at some point. Has she shared much with you about making sure she gets it right compared to making sure she scratches the itch of who's going to be on her staff?
Yeah, I mean, it's a process, and it's a journey. It's like, hiring a head coach, and she's being very, diligent and making a lot of phone calls and talking, not to a large number of people. I think it's a pretty select group, but you're talking to, a much broader group of folks when you're starting to, just references and talking to high school coaches within the state, for example, and AAU coaches. So she's done a great job of doing her due diligence. We talk a lot and have talked a lot about the candidates and just breaking each person down. And I think I don't want to box her into a corner, but I think that she's kind of earmarked the end of this week to have some finality to it. It may be, a couple days sooner, maybe a couple days later, but she's on track and she's talking to some exceptional people.
Thank you, Mack. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Thank you all. Appreciate you guys.
Mack Rhoades, Director of Athletics at Baylor. So we have Craig's Off the Radar coming up. So to kind of summarize some of the bullet points, and Craig will have his up on the premium section, which is one of the most popular things that's up there when he takes whatever we just heard and then puts it in transcript form and kind of tidies it up. It's time. Yep, it's time. Some of the guys that are on the team now were in junior high on the investigation. It's time to move on. He's kind of mentioned a little bit of the delays. Tailgating. They have 150 of the tailgate spots have already been renewed. Now, I know some have also moved across to MLK because they don't like the new setup. That's fine. Some of you have contacted me about that. And then also the court, which is pretty cool, how they can take the court from the 05 national championship with the Baylor women's basketball team and then this one in Indianapolis and somehow include that in the design of the new arena floor, the new field house or whatever you want to call it floor. That's pretty cool. That's pretty, and then in some cases put it in other parts of the field house as well. Yeah, I'm interested to see what that actually looks like and more of the design part. That's cool, but I was glad to hear him say that about the NCAA. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's been almost 5 years, and I don't know, what all has changed really in the last 2 years that's made any bit of a difference towards what they would even be looking at. I mean, there has not been any big court case that oh my gosh, shocking revelation, this completely changed. No, everything's the exact same as it was 4 years ago, much less 5 years ago. So they've had, the Sean Oakman trial already played out. Sam Ukuachu's been on trial 15 times already. You know what I mean? All this stuff has happened in the time since this investigation started. You know what I think it is? I think the NCAA feels pressure. Oh, for sure. There's that. To send a message to social media. Yeah. To scratch that itch rather than what is fair or not fair. And they might have dug through some things and seen a couple of things and are what would this normally be? A loss of a scholarship or two. But that's not going to scratch the itch.
But the burden is for them, though. If they're going, and I think this is probably why it's taken so long. Since they've been hammered in court so many times, all Baylor would have to do in a legal sense is pretty much pick up those cases and go, okay, well, here's where ours is different, but here's where it applies. Here you go. Absolutely. So what the NCAA has to do is, if they're going to try to hammer Baylor or try to send a message, they have to do that and know that it's not going to be okay, no.
Yeah, here you go. Sign on the line.
No. And so they have to have something that's not going to get immediately defeated, which I don't believe in my heart of hearts they really have the capability to do. So that's probably what's taking so long is just weaving through legal mumbo jumbo to try to make it work.
But COVID should not have slowed that down. You can do that in your house.
It did because they've let go basically the entire NCAA office. They've got people. They're shorthanded and juggling all these investigations, which is even a bigger joke. The fact that they're letting people go and they're supposed to be the final word on these big things. He's right. It's time. And everybody's been waiting, and it's been 5 years. Get a decision out there already. Enough is enough.
I completely agree. It'll be interesting to see what happens. We come back with Craig's Off the Radar. 5 o'clock, David Hellman and his thoughts about Jalen Smith and wearing number 9. What number does he normally wear?
54.
Who wore that in Cowboys history,
Randy
Laura?
White.
Chuck Howley, MVPs in a Super Bowl, one of them when they lost. Hall of Famer, Ring of Honor. So, but 9 is the untouchable.
It's the Pope.
12 is untouchable. 8 is untouchable. 22. But we'll come back with that. It shouldn't be. I agree. Off the Radar with Craig Smoak and then David Hellman, John McClain. And in between those two, Arthur Rhoades will join us at 520 SicEm365 Radio. All right, Marco's Pizza. Talk to Bob Mack. They deliver on occasion about, what is it, Armstrong? Well, you wouldn't know. You haven't been here in a while. But when you are here, Marco's, how much do we deliver? About once a week we bring them out here, right? And I'm kidding with you. It's good to have you back in the studio. Marco's Pizza about once a week delivers to us. And it's great pizza. It's not good. It's fantastic. And we normally, our go-to pizza is thin crust, all meat, and on occasion we'll throw something else into the mix. And Marco's Pizza with locations China Spring, in Woodway, and also in Belmead. And right now they're looking for insiders, management, and drivers. So those who can work inside the store, 16 years or older, and management and driver opportunities at 18 years old and older. You can refer Marco's Pizza to an employee to them, and if they work out, if whoever's hired works 100 or more hours, Marco's Pizza will give you who referred the name or person or persons a $100 gift card. Think about that. So if you refer somebody to Marco's Pizza that works inside the store or management or drivers, and they work over 100 hours for a Marco's Pizza here locally, in those 3 locations around McLennan County, you get a $100 Marco's gift card. How do you contact them? You can go online or call any of their locations in Belmead, Woodway, or China Spring. Marco's Pizza delivers to you and delivers the best. 3 locations, China Spring, Woodway, and Belmead in Waco.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for Craig Smoak's Off the Radar.
Back back on SicEm365 Radio. Time to take a look at some stories that are a little off the main radar of what we normally talk about. Not going to really talk about Baylor, for example, or the Cowboys much in a segment like this. You know, I know you guys have spent a lot of time, and I've been a part of the conversation as well, about John Gallagher and Hartford. Have you seen some of the things that have been discovered about the man making the decision at Hartford about their sports programs, including John Gallagher's basketball program?
No.
Well, Hartford President Gregory Woodward, he is the one who made the decision to move the school's athletic programs from Division I to Division III a few weeks ago. A lot of people got very up in arms over that, and you know, mostly because of the basketball program, because of the fact that they just reached the NCAA tournament for the first time in history about 3 months ago, and now they're going down a couple of levels. So I don't know who started this and who started to research this, but apparently Hartford President Gregory Woodward is a little bit of a fibber. Because apparently at one point on his resume, it states that he played Division I soccer at Villanova. That's untrue. It also says on his resume, or he claimed to have been inducted into his high school's Hall of Fame. That's also not true. His high school does not have a Hall of Fame. He spent 1 year as a student at Villanova nearly 50 years ago, according to him, walked on to the soccer team as a freshman and then transferred out of school after that year and went to UConn, where he finished up. He's talked quite a bit about the fact that he's a former D1 athlete. And, you would think that that gives him a little bit of, respectability when it comes to making decisions like this. The problem is that when he was going to school at Villanova for that 1 year and playing Division I soccer, Villanova wasn't a Division I program in soccer. So just another part of his story that doesn't quite add up. He also told NPR in March that he was in his high school's Hall of Fame. Per the Middletown Press, he went to William Hall High School in West Hartford, Connecticut, and they say they have no Hall of Fame, athletics or otherwise, and we have no records of there ever being one. I'm not sure if there was ever a mention of one, but there is nothing for at least 30 years. So, not like a fireable offense by any means, but this is the guy that's making the decision on the Hartford sports programs, and people are starting to look into him and realize not everything's adding up.
You got Brian Williams booted down to MSNBC. I mean, when he did something similar,
If you take on something like he's taking on the basketball program and athletics, it's like a politician. If you're going to take on something, you better clean out your closet, or you better hope there's no evidence that there is a closet. Because that's where you are today. And that's why people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones, all of that. He wanted to do this. It was a very unpopular decision. Doesn't mean he's wrong, but man, did he put himself and step in it, because now he is the one who is the story and not men's basketball or athletics.
Because for the people who are fueling, the fire against him, it would be, well, how can we trust any decision you make? You haven't been honest with us from the beginning. You keep telling the story about how you're, the Pele of Villanova freshman soccer, and that's not true at all. So those things, call into question everything that you do. So
yeah. Well, good. That I'm not good, but that's okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to be
Boomerang,
the one
right,
yeah,
Paul?
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting, and I haven't seen a reaction from him, but people went and dug through his background, and he's not exactly truthful. So we'll see how that plays out for Hartford. This is a very minor note. Most people may not even remember Adnan Virk if you just hear the name, but he was a longtime Sports Center anchor, and he was popular, so I'm sure plenty of people realize who I'm talking about. Yeah. He was on ESPN for a while. He was fired, if you'll remember, back in February of 2019 because he was apparently leaking things about ESPN to other media outlets, and that's what got him fired. They both agreed that they wouldn't pursue any litigation, and they just went their separate ways. He bounced a month later to DAZN and to MLB Network. But most recently, back in April, he was hired by the WWE to be their head broadcaster on Monday Night Raw, which is a pretty big position. That's the one Jim Ross had for years and years. However, after that being announced just on April the 12th, he is already out as Monday Night Raw announcer. He did not get good reviews, and he lasted a total of 7 shows before getting the boot from the WWE.
Vince McMahon has a precedent for this. If you remember, Matt Vasgersian was his number one guy on the XFL, and after the first week, they had a bit of a tiff, and then Matt Vasgersian, who's excellent, a good play-by-play guy, got the boot as well.
Yeah, but he also has very poor taste in a lot of ways. They brought Mike Adamle, who most people remember from American Gladiators. They brought him back like 3 or 4 years ago, and he was atrocious. Like, didn't know the product, was botching names, like, clearly did not watch wrestling at all, but they had put him in this spot to be the main guy. Did not work out. He was gone very quickly. I don't know if he lasted 7 shows, so him and Adnan Virk might actually be in a neck-and-neck race for who lasted the least amount of time. But yeah, he is out after 7 Monday Night Raws.
He's getting names. I was like, we'd like to welcome back The Rick.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, The Rock.
Yeah.
Mike Adamle's a pretty face. Good. He was a good, solid announcer. Pretty good athlete as well, but... Again, that's peeling way back.
Why haven't we gotten American Gladiators again, by the way?
I don't know. It's on Roku. Roku channel is free, and it's got a lot of good programming, man. You should check it out for those out there. But American Gladiators has a channel on Roku TV. It's like it's got its own listings. It's just on the Roku app.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's its own thing. But you can watch like 24 hours of like all these different shows. But yeah, Adnan Virk, just kind of crazy. Last 7 Monday Night Raws, and I will say I don't watch Monday Night Raw. I don't watch much WWE. But I did see the reactions, and it was not good. He probably feels relief today, I would think, more so than anything. There is a new record holder for highest baseball card sold at auction this past Saturday. Rare memorabilia item went up, or actually earlier this month it went up. A Honus Wagner card, one of the most sought-after cards for sports collectors, sold for $3.751 million, the all-time record for any Honus Wagner card, the 5th most expensive sports card of all time. And what's really interesting is if you look at this, nearly $4 million for this Honus Wagner card. It is not in great shape.
Plain Jane, yeah.
It's not in great shape, but it's graded as a 2, which is not even really a good grade, but I guess because of its age and its Honus Wagner, what one of the collectors and maybe the person who certified it said was that if you look at it, there's 2 major creases, but it doesn't obstruct his main part of his face, and so they said that's why it's actually graded what it is and not lower, even though it's actually in decent shape for how old it is. But, yeah, it does have 2 massive creases right from the top of his face and the bottom of his face, but it's $3.75 million, 5th most expensive card of all time.
Well, then that means that Gretzky, the one that Gretzky owns, I mean, which is what I think the Honus Wagner he has, I think is the one in the best condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what that does? It looks like it should look after 100 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But God, can you would if you found one, like, and you were doing all your stuff, and Craig, you're going through tons and tons and boxes of cards. If in fact you accidentally found one, could you sleep at night until you sold it?
I would have to call like a broker and have them come in, like
a police department.
Yeah, like I'd have the people like just.
Would you? Cheers.
Yeah, I'd be on the phone.
If you want a lottery ticket,
I'd be on the phone with Sotheby's right now.
What would you do if you all of a sudden you just went and did $1 or 10, whatever it is, scratch up? I don't know. There's so many of them out there, or you scratched it off and it was like $150,000. Would you start shaking?
Yeah, no, I'd cry.
I mean, here's what I know. If I ever won like the Powerball, the Mega Millions, that get the hundreds of millions of dollars, the first phone call I would make, honestly, would be to you, be like, "Hey, I'm gone for a couple days. I'll tell you when I come back."
You mean it wouldn't be that we agreed that we would share things like
look,
that?
Here's what the call you'd get. So then you could sit there and wonder, like, listen, everything's fine. You're not going to see me for a couple days or hear from me, but I'll tell you.
In a couple of days, I'm going to hand you $100,000 in cash. I'd be fine with that.
Yeah,
okay, I'd be fine with that. Okay.
Yeah, so this is a T206 series card. It was first released by the American Tobacco Company back in 1909, and it is now the second highest. I think I said highest earlier. The second highest sale price for a baseball card ever. Any guess as to who? And it's not the Honus Wagner that you're referring to.
Didn't we just say that the other day?
The highest baseball card sold ever. It happened in the last few months.
It was not Ryan. It was not Griffey. It was. It wasn't Bonds. Was it Trout?
It was Mike Trout. His rookie card went for $3.9 million back in August. So Honus Wagner, the creases and everything, nearly $4 million, the second highest priced baseball card sold of all time. So that's just kind of a cool little note there. And yeah, I don't know. I would absolutely lose my mind if I scratched a lottery ticket that had $100,000 on it, much less like the millions. Like
your life changes, right?
Absolutely lose my mind. And then one other final note, I get really kind of tired of the big athlete contracts, just talking about them all. We're talking about money and how like $100,000 would change our lives and we'd cry. And $100,000 is like a game check for LeBron and most NBA players or most just players in general. So it's kind of cool to see every once in a while a contract announcement that has to do with something not in sports, although this is a very sports-like announcement. But Guy Fieri has inked a new contract with the Food Network. 3 years, $80 million.
I'm
extension
you, that diners, drive-ins, and dives, I could sometimes just loop that up and watch it all afternoon in the background.
Guy Fieri, and here's the thing, he deserves everything he gets. He's apparently, he does a lot of things for a lot of people.
Dude, he's raised over $100 million for COVID.
Great guy. I mean, just unbelievable dude. But he's also figured out a way. I think that's why people get mad at Guy Fieri, because he's figured out a way to do exactly what he wants to do and have people pay him millions of dollars to do it. I'm going to drive around. I'm going to go to these unbelievable restaurants. They're going to give me the food for free. They're going to let me see how they do it. And then you know what I'm going to do tomorrow? I'm going to go to another place. I'm going to do it again. And so people get mad at that, but I cannot, he has a dream job.
I wonder how they do that. Like in movies, and you make movies, and I know David Helm is next, and so do they do 3 in a day? Do they do 12 in a week?
Alex Trebek used to record once every couple weeks. He would record 3 to 5 shows a day for 2 days in a row, and he'd do that once a month or once every couple weeks. He would just do two days of tapings and then just done for months. So yeah, I'm sure it's something similar, although he probably has to tape a lot more.
But there are times on the Food Network, which is really probably my top 2 or 3 go-to watch on cable, that you will see 6 or 8 or 10 of them in a row, and he's got dozens and dozens and dozens, and every once in a while you just insert something new.
I do think I'll say this, for a guy who eats how he does, and I'm not telling you he's in American Gladiator shape, but he's not in bad shape for a guy who pours donkey sauce on everything.
He looks like he's got a barrel chest. Looks like he's probably pretty good shape. But God, the amount of food he eats in just one setting is incredible. All right.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention,
$80 million.
Yeah, I wanted to mention where that kind of compares in sports, and it goes to show you just how ridiculously different the leagues are. If he was in the NFL, he would have a contract comparable to Alvin Kamara, George Kittle, Julio Jones, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry. They're all on 4- and 5-year deals, but the average is out to the same. So the pretty big stars in the NFL, right? What did that average out to, NBA player-wise? He'd be with Julius Randle and DeAndre Jordan and Zach LaVine. So not exactly tier 1 guys.
Wow.
In MLB, he'd be making the same as Lorenzo Cain, Marcell Ozuna, Dallas Keuchel, and Hyunjin Ryu, who are basically all on 3-year $50 million deals or 4-year $80 million deals. So you see where the NFL has the least amount of pull when it comes to contracts, because their big stars are much closer to Guy Fieri than tier 3 guys in other leagues or tier 2. But good for Guy Fieri. Great dude, does a lot of good stuff, and has that big sports contract.
Speaking of that, and then break that David Hellman, one note that Brenda Fries at Maryland, who's been there for a while, won a national championship. She's half crazy, I think, sometimes, but she's kind of hair on fire. The change from Kim Mulkey from Baylor to LSU got the coach at Arizona, Adia Barnes, a nice raise. It got others a nice raise. It got the young lady who's an up-and-coming star at Georgia. She got a raise, among others. And guess what? I saw where Brenda Fries signed a 5 or 6 year contract. Women's basketball salaries have always been well below anything men's basketball. That is starting to change a little bit with some of the movement and commitment by just one coaching change.
Well, I will say, I think that's kind of a big overreaction, because what job do they think is going to create that kind of a ruffle anytime soon?
Not many.
Baylor was the job that was unforeseen with Mulkey leaving, but who's going to open up anytime soon? Gino just signed an extension for through 2025, so he's not leaving UConn for another 3 to 4 years. So who would possibly open up that you'd have to lock down your women's basketball coach?
Texas A&M.
Okay.
With Gary Blair decides to move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
And you don't know, now, is this going to start anything of a pendulum or any kind of a change or a domino effect where they're not, coaches there 15 or 20 years, and now they're going to be there 3 or 4. And that's when it starts, because what happens is you put a little bit of money into a program and a commitment, and it takes 1 or 2 names to move. One hot name like Adia Barnes or Joni Taylor at Georgia, and the next thing you know, ADs are like, oh, my God.
But there's nowhere to go.
They're negotiating against themselves.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
Jerry Jones.
In a sport where they're losing money anyway.
That's exactly.
That's what they do in every sport, though.
Just a note. All right, when we come back, David Hellman on the Cowboys OTAs. We'll have Arthur Rhoades around 5:20, and then also John McClain, SicEm365 Radio.
If you are looking to buy a new home, if you're looking to sell the one you're in, look, the market's kind of crazy right now. You're going to need somebody who can help navigate you through that market, get you the best deal for the house you're selling, get you the best deal for the house that you're buying. And that's Lance Donaldson and the Donaldson family team, brokered by eXp Realty. Give them a call, 254-214-3713. Online, lancedonaldson.exprealty.com. Again, there's a lot of things that are coming at you right now. It's a seller's market. It's which means, look, if you're selling and buying, you go out of one and into the other, you need somebody who can navigate through that really well for you and make sure that you're getting best value for everything that you do. So give them a call, 254-214-3713, or online at lancedonaldson.exprealty.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like First Free Checking, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with David Hellman of DallasCowboys.com.
Here is Pollard all the way in for 6.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, this 5 o'clock hour, Arthur Rhoades up next. But right now, David Hellman, DallasCowboys.com, and my gosh, there's things going on at the Star in Frisco. OTAs. David Hellman with Craig, Paul, and David Smoak. So, David, you put something up, a response to Jalen Smith wanting to wear jersey 9. I know he's practicing in it, and I never thought about this. He wore 54 with two of the most popular Cowboys of all time in Randy White and Chuck Howley, and there was never any outrage on that. Is Tony Romo walking on water when it comes to his number?
I just, I think it's a little bit of recency bias. And I mean, like I said on Twitter, it's way more about Jalen Smith than every player, or than any player. Like, Jalen Smith is publicly number one for Cowboys fan base. And, deservedly so. Like, I don't have a problem with people criticizing him. I think he probably deserves it for the size of his contract and the way that he played last year. But if Jalen Smith was an all-pro, nobody would care that he was wearing number 9. And he was wearing the number of two guys that, at least in terms of resume, were better than Tony Romo. Like, Randy White's in the Hall of Fame. Chuck Howley was the Super Bowl MVP. They're both in the Ring of Honor. And, I'm not trying to knock Tony Romo, but again, like, nobody made a peep about that. And I think it's way more about what's going on with Jalen than how great Tony Romo was. And he'll have an opportunity to silence those people, because if he goes out and plays great, again, nobody's going to care. It's all about what have you done for me lately.
David, have you ever watched a guy walk around at practice today like you did with Dak to try to see if he's got a limp or anything like that?
I'll tell you what, man, that's my number one takeaway from OTAs is like Dak threw an interception, and I thought it was the best play of the day, and not because of, obviously he got picked off. That's not what you want, but it was 7-on-7. His primary guy wasn't open, and he broke out and scrambled and was directing traffic with the receivers and running at full speed and, kind of torqued his hips and threw on the run. And like I said, the ball got picked off, but I was like, okay, if he can do that and throw the ball 25 yards on the run at a dead sprint, he's probably going to be okay. And that was really my main takeaway, is that he doesn't look like a guy that's coming off of breaking his ankle at all. He moved great. He was throwing it effortlessly, 25, 35, 40 yards downfield. I think the Cowboys are smart to keep him out of the fray. There's no need to do that right now. But if I had any concerns that he's going to be, limited or whatever at training camp, like he put a lot of that to rest for me today, because he didn't look like somebody coming off an injury at all.
Well, David, a big part of his success this season will also have to do with that offensive line. I saw where Lyle Collins, Tyron Smith were back out there. What were your impressions of seeing those guys? And I'm sure it was probably just refreshing for everybody to see a fully intact offense for the most part.
Yeah, my main thing with those guys is it's if this is what you're doing on day 2, that's a really good sign. Because nobody would begrudge them if they weren't ready and they were just kind of hanging off to the side and anything yet and mixing in later. But, for them to get into their helmets and get into their stance and be ready on day 2, that's really encouraging. Now, it's shorts and helmets, and they didn't go against anybody. Tyron and Lyle sat out for when the defensive line came onto the field, so they weren't even really going against guys in a non-contact setting. But, it's all a process. So we'll keep our eye on it. But again, like, I'm all about your starting point. DeMonte Kazee is another one for a guy who tore his Achilles in October. And obviously he's got a lot more work to do before the season gets here, but he's out there backpedaling, cutting, going through reps on day 2 of OTAs. That's a good sign. If you're ready to participate at the start of OTAs, that at least gives me some optimism that you'll be ready when the real stuff starts.
David, is Zeke Elliott, he had the great start to his career. We know kind of where he's been. We know about what they've dealt with offensively at times, even though they've been explosive. Is this kind of like his last chance to kind of have an explosive year? Is he due for one of those?
I don't know if he's due, but I think this is a big opportunity for him to change the narrative, because that's, probably starting, I would say 19 is when really people are going to change their opinion of how good he was and how explosive he was and whether he's worth the pick and whether he's worth the money. And it's kind of the same thing as Jalen Smith. I mean, I don't have a problem with anybody that wants to criticize Zeke for the way that he played last year. He makes $15 million a year, and the expectations are high. Even when you don't have your quarterback or your offensive line, the expectations are high for a guy that makes that much money. You should be able to make things happen by yourself if you're worth that kind of money, and he wasn't able to. But it's a big, big opportunity for him because, as far as we know right now, all those guys will be back. So I absolutely think Zeke is going to bounce back in a big way in 2021. And if he doesn't, then, the narrative is kind of deserved. And, if he struggles again with a year of everybody having good health, if he's got Dak in the lineup and it still doesn't look right, then now you're probably having conversations about like, all right, what does the future look like without Zeke? That's just the nature of the business when you have that kind of contract. But having said all of that, I do have high expectations for what he can be this year.
David, was anybody just not there, from the Cowboys today because of injury, or were most of the injured guys out there at least doing some work?
I mean, ironically, Zeke, I believe, is the only member of the team that didn't come into the indoor facility for at least part of practice. And, Mike McCarthy said, he's been here all through the offseason. He was here yesterday. I don't anticipate that it's some kind of big deal, especially, if you're on social media. Zeke's been posting workout videos, it seems like every day for a month or two. So I personally don't really care that he was, but I do think he was the only real absence. Even all of the injured guys were doing something today. So yeah, I mean, as usual, the Cowboys have very, very good attendance in the offseason program.
David, what have been your impressions of Dan Quinn?
I say this to y'all every week. It's been so weird, not really being around these guys, but I had a chance to officially meet and introduce myself to Dan today. I think the big thing for me with him is his energy. Actually, his two Atlanta guys, DeMonte Kazee and Keanu Neal, both talked to the media today, and they said a lot just about what a high energy guy is. Called him a player's coach, a guy that goes looking for that dog-like mentality, and because leaving Atlanta, said, he knew that he would give his all for a guy like Dan Quinn, and that was absolutely part of the reason why he signed here. So, I don't know him super well. I met him for a couple minutes today, but that seems to be the overwhelming review of Dan Quinn, even from people that I know who are with him in Atlanta, is that he's a high motor, high energy guy. So, I mean, that seems like a good place to start for a defense that had as many struggles as this one did.
David, just judging your Twitter timeline, you have as much fun as we have with Brooks Koepka and Bryson DeChambeau. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a golf guy. I don't play it. I don't really watch it. But I said that to somebody. I was like, everybody relates to that. Everybody relates to that feeling of just being absolutely exasperated by a coworker or just somebody that's in your life that you don't like very much. And I thought it was outstanding. Like I said, I don't follow golf closely, but Brooks Koepka strikes me as a guy who's very willing to speak his mind. And as somebody who covers athletes for a living, I really appreciate that. So please keep it up, Brooks. Give us more of that.
Me too. I love it. Now there's a picture of his eyes basically shutting in demonic fashion with DeChambeau kissing his neck from behind. It is so Twitter. It's hilarious. Thanks for your time, David. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Armstrong, do you have that one? Do you have that picture, Paul? Who was the one that had
Whose idea was that? Hey, I know how I can do this. Let's have them kiss each other.
I don't understand how you even do that Photoshop stuff.
Use Photoshop.
Use
Photoshop to do it.
I don't know how.
Disgusting picture I've ever seen in my life.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
By the way, Smokey, did you happen to see our friend Kenny Mayne's last?
Yes, I did. Stuff? I didn't watch all of it. I got a little bit. Yeah. I saw the interview with Aaron Rodgers. It was very awkward because he kept wanting to get Rodgers to say something. Rodgers was not having anything to do with it, but was so complimentary of Kenny. I love it.
Well, Rodgers was playing with it too.
Oh,
a
yeah,
little bit,
absolutely.
And Kenny was just like, well, people are going to want this. And then,
this is not what they want. And he goes, this is not why this is not what the people want. And Aaron goes, I don't care. Of course, it's about you. It's not about me. But it was cool. The fact that he could get that on there says weird, quite a bit. He's
weird.
He is, How do you get that? It's almost as if his lips are pressed exactly.
Well, I mean, it's from him kissing the claret jug, right?
Yes, of course it is. And that's Koepka. It's just, that's...
Yeah, I see where that's funny, and I also just don't really like that one. Like, I don't know. I don't know why that's where someone's mind went, was like, this is the funny thing that we could play off of. And it's not like, I don't know. I don't really like that meme all that much. There's a better meme that's just the actual picture and then like air quotes, and you can just put anything there. Yeah. Or I've seen some funny ones, but yeah, I don't really vibe with that one.
That to me is DeChambeau wins that meme right there, right? Is that a meme, or is that just?
Does he?
Yeah, he does.
What does he win? Nothing.
He's annoying. It's what he does. All right, when we come back, Arthur Rhoades, 20 years in Major League Baseball, the Vega great, much more to get with him. SicEm365 Radio. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans in the Town West Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco. Don Humidor with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the great brands of cigars from Macanudo to Aston to Rocky Patel, Romeo and Julieta, Cohiba, and Padron, among many others as well. I was there the other day, and they have CBD products, including Vita Dreams, that if, in fact, you're one of those that if it's something that sometimes going to sleep at night, you just can't relax for whatever reason, stress, too much on your mind, or maybe you had something to drink late in the afternoon, an energy drink that didn't allow you to crash. Vita Dreams can help you. Not that that's a good idea. Vita Dreams can help you calm down, fall asleep, and get that extra 30, 45 minutes to an hour of sleep that you lose almost nightly because whatever reason you cannot fall asleep. Vita Dreams, a CBD product available at Don Humidor, along with fresh coffee beans. They have the grinder there, whatever flavor you want. And right now, one of the ones that they talked about to me, Carol and Ashley and Cheyenne, is the Cowboy brand, the Cowboy flavor and the aroma. Don Humidor and Coffee Beans, tell them Smokey sent you. Graduation coming up. If you want to get a cigar, if you have vacation coming up and you want to buy some cigars, they also have a travel case, Pelican case for 3, 4, 5, or even 8 or 12 cigars. You can take that with you. The Humidor and also the torch lighter and the cutter in the Town West Shopping Center, Valley Mills, off Valley Mills in Waco.
Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed. Smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rhoades group meal.
Next in line.
Alan Samuels is celebrating the Jeep Memorial Day sales event. It's an exciting time for the new Jeep Renegade Latitude with up to $5,750 in values or 0% for 84 months. Jeep Renegade Latitude, built tough as nails, and you don't want to miss the Jeep Memorial Day sales event going on now. Alan Samuels, the award-winning customer service dealer, located at 201 West Loop 340. Alan Samuels is your friend in the car business.
Come by, let's be friends.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The Sic'em365 Radio app is sponsored by Alan Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
20 years of Major League Baseball. La Vega great. And now he golfs every day, except maybe on a day like today when it might have just rained a little bit too much. Arthur Rhoades joins us, friend of the show on SicEm365 Radio. Did you even get to hit the ball today?
Ball today. I was at in Temple at the Bush School helping my wife up there. That's what I was doing all day.
All right. Well, okay. Paul asked me this question. What is your handicap? What is it?
My handicap probably a 16.
What?
Yeah, I don't play every day like I used to anymore. My game got rusty.
All right. I just thought you just hit it as far as you possibly. Do you know where it's going to go when you hit that tee ball?
I try to see where it goes, but sometimes I lose it. I lose it when it get way like that because my eyes are getting old.
Arthur, I had a conversation a little bit with you. We had David Murphy on yesterday. He's kind of an old school guy, and he kind of gave us his feelings. And a lot of people like the youth enthusiasm of what we see now in Major League Baseball with some of these young stars. I have an idea you might think differently. What do you see when you see the bat flips and the celebrations and whatever else?
Well, from my perspective, I don't like it because, like I told you, I'm an old school player. And next time you coming up the bat, you're going to get drilled in the ribs or you're going to get hit somewhere and you won't be doing that bat flip anymore. But like I say, man, like the young kids right now, they just need to go out there and play the game the right way. Go out there and play it like the old guys did. And go out there and you can still have fun and just stop the bat flipping.
Arthur, do you think that the style of play now kind of encourages that a little bit in that it's strikeouts and home runs, and there's not a lot of small ball or nuance left to the game anymore?
No, there's no more small ball. Everybody's just trying to lift and separate and trying to hit home runs all the time, and that's why you see a lot of starters right now have more strikeouts. And like I said, they just go up there and looking for one thing, try to hit a home run, and next time you look at yourself, you're striking out, going back to the dugout.
Yeah, Arthur, it's very much a feast or famine game. Either pitchers are dominating or home run hitters are dominating. Where do you think this kind of took a turn for baseball, the style of play and kind of what it's become? Is there a specific kind of time frame or anything like that you can sort of point to where we got?
I think the time frame when it came in, I think it was like 2015. So it's like when I stopped playing, we still had old school guys out there playing, and you didn't see many bat flips. And when I got out of the game, and man, them young kids just took over and started doing these bat flips and jumping up and down, dancing in the dugouts, and it's just like little clowns out there. But
what if someone thinks that the youth and enthusiasm is needed in baseball, that if the game got stale?
I would think you need to bring some old school managers back, bring some old school pitching coaches back, and teach the young kids how to play the game the right way. And go ahead.
So you thought Tony La Russa was justified in doing what he did and kind of going old school last week?
Oh yeah, but Tony La Russa, he's getting up in age, and he needs to start. He needs to get to learn to know all the rules of the game. It's not like back in when he was in his younger days, and you got to know about all the pitch counts. You got to know about runners on second when you got a tie ball game. There's a lot of stuff going on right now in Major League Baseball. It's just a lot of new rules, and like for me, I can't keep up with it. I just watch it for about 5 or 6 minutes, and I turn to another channel.
I'm kind of in the same boat. I'm very curious. There's one rule in particular that just it bothers me, Arthur. The runner starting on second in extra innings, and just you already have a base runner halfway around the diamond. What do you make of that rule?
I don't like that rule because it's just you got to start a runner on second base. You have no outs. You can bunt him over, and the next guy can drive him in. But it's just go back to the old school playing baseball. If it's a top ball game, play as long as you can. It doesn't matter. Somebody's gonna have to lose. Just don't put a run on second base and so that guy can score a run easy.
The part about what they're trying to do is speed up the game, but I brought this up earlier, and I don't know the odds or what are the trends. If you put somebody on second base, Arthur, and you're pitching, is the first thing you do, and of course you could overpower people with your arsenal of what you threw, but is the first thing you want to do is think about walking somebody to force to set up a force out?
I would do that. I would walk the guy 4 pitches and give me a ground ball double play and then try to keep that run at third base so he don't have to score a run.
But if that's one of the first options is to walk somebody to set up a double play or a force out, is that speeding up the game because you're going to have to go? I know you could just point to first base, but it just seems like are we pampering? I don't want to sound like get off my lawn, but are we pampering the game in ways that we're losing the fundamentals of baseball?
Oh yes, sir. You're pampering them guys, man. It's just you can't be doing that, putting runners on second base. And like I said, I don't like the speed up rule. I just like to go out there. You play 3 or 4 hours good game and get 9 good innings in.
Arthur Rhoades with us on SicEm365 Radio. Okay, when you were at La Vega and you guys ran the table, you were unbeaten as a pitcher your senior year, I believe it was. Who was the team? I know the Connollys and others that are. Who was the team that did you ever get into any kind of brouhaha with a high school team when you played?
Oh no, sir. We didn't have no high school brawls. We had probably one rival team that was probably Connolly because they always our rivals La Vega and Connolly is right down the road from each other, and every time I pitched against Connolly, I wanted to beat them every time. So that's the only team I wanted to beat every time. I think I did. So.
Well, you probably did, but and here's my point, that if I'm an opposing player and I see Arthur Rhoades is on the other team along with some of the others that we've talked about over your career, I don't think that's a very smart thing to start something up and stir something up with you anyway.
Oh, no, they never did start anything with La Vega because they knew I was going to pitch that game, start that game, and they didn't want to start anything because I'll drill the first guy at the batter and then
Oh, what was the most you remember ever celebrating after a pitch or an out?
And probably my high school. I was playing center field, and I was playing shallow, and I ran about 100 yards to catch a fly ball in and save the ball game. And I think that was my best exciting moment.
And that's the most you probably ever celebrated at the end of a game or an out?
Yeah.
Did you do much at all? You talked about the pitchers or the hitters or whatever. Did you ever show up a batter when you struck them out to end a game or maybe in a big moment?
Well, I did it one time in the big leagues because I did it to Jose Canseco, and we got a big old fight and with Tampa Bay, and I was in the middle of a brawl. He come from behind me and pushed me, and I said, all right, I'm not going to get kicked out of the game, but next time I face you, I'm going to show you up. But you don't push nobody from behind, and then you run off like a little girl.
You know, having seen him fight recently, you definitely would have taken him, Arthur. I have no questions about that.
Oh, man. Anything else for Arthur? Thank you, man. Great day, Craig.
Yeah, Arthur, just, I know you say you don't watch, all 9 innings every night or anything like that, but what joy do you get from baseball? Are there a couple players maybe that you enjoy watching these days?
Man, I like watching all the teams, but it's just like I like watching Houston. They go out there, and Dusty Baker got them guys right now. He calmed them down, got rid of all that cheating stuff. Dusty just told them guys, go out there and play. I like watching Houston. I like watching the Rangers too. The Rangers got a lot of new guys on their team, man. I don't know who half of them are, but I just like watching. They like to go out there and play hard. I just like to watch a team that goes out there and play hard and want to play the game the right way.
Did you play for Dusty?
Yes, sir. I played in Cincinnati.
I'm so glad you said that about the Rangers. About 2 weeks ago, when they had a couple of games, they don't, they're like 22-27 or 25-20 of the. They are a team that makes me watch, knowing that they're not going to finish with more than 70 wins or whatever this year, most likely. But they are. They seem to be a team that you can kind of get to like. They just seem. Right. And then Garcia has given them a spark, and they've got a few young pitchers that look pretty good. That's kind of what you're saying as well?
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You get the young guys that want to get the taste of the first time or second time in the big league. They want to go out there and they want to showcase themselves, and they want to go out there and play hard. They're just not. They don't be doing no bat flipping. They don't be jumping up and down when they hit a home run. They just go out there. I want to get my 9 innings in, play hard, and win the ball game.
Arthur, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hit them straight or as far as you can. Appreciate your time. Always great to have you.
No problem, guys. Sorry about that earlier when I didn't pick up the phone call.
Oh, that's okay.
Call me anytime when y'all need me.
You got it. That's it. That's awesome. 20 years. 20. I love. We could go on with him for. It would be go to play a round of golf or sit down and just relax with him and talk about some memories.
Yeah, he's the. He helped me inadvertently carry out a dream to be carried off the field by a Major League Baseball player.
Really?
Yeah, when I tore my hamstrings, he and his brother carried me off the field.
When we come back, we'll have John McClain, Paul's 5 at 5:55 as well. Sic'em365 Radio. Pioneer Stew and Pipe, 2 locations, Waco and Bryan, open Saturdays if you can't get there, 8 until 12 on Saturdays. Everything that you buy there, they'll deliver it if you need them to, and also help unload it, because we're talking about metal, pipe, steel, heavy, bulky, a lot of things that build buildings. In fact, speaking of that, metal buildings is their specialty. They can help you with that, with all the product you need, but also with the ability to understand what you're doing. I mean, as simple as that. And also can help you if you need, because of their array of their, not so much Rolodex, those things are history, the contacts they have in the contracting business. Pioneer Steel and Pipe since 1943. Think about that. I stress it every single time. They've been in business since 1943, and that's because they have great product and they take care of you, the customer, to where you want to come back every single time, whether you go there a lot or you're there on occasion. They are amazing at what they do, and they're building their new facility on Loop 340 and 12th Street, and they're doing more than just digging dirt right now. They're starting to lay the concrete down or pour the concrete. It is a phenomenal place with incredible tradition at pioneerboys.com.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Pay over qualified buyer with $4,000 down to 2.9% TTNL extra. See deal for details.
Travel is back, and so are the savings at the Memorial Day Savings Event at Richard Carr. Hit the road in a 2016 Buick Encore for only $152 a month, a 2016 GMC Sierra for only $318 a month, a 2018 Mercedes GLA for $334 a month, or a 2015 GMC Terrain for only $135 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. It's a Memorial Day Savings Event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
It's a name and a memory that called us back. It's a belief and a labor that will carry us forward. It's a time and experience that will make you return. The new Bear Ridge Golf Club, a space revitalized, a course restored, a new experience. For a tee time today, call the Pro Shop at 254-848-7800. Go to BearRidgeWaco.com, just south of Waco on Highway 84. Come join us at Bear Ridge Golf Club.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with John McClain of the Houston Chronicle, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
All right, John McClain, Houston Chronicle, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. All right, John, it's pretty cool. We're seeing Dak Prescott, Joe Burrow, guys coming back from injuries. OTAs are popping up around the NFL. Is it life is normal, back to business?
You talking about in the NFL? It depends on what team you're with in Green Bay. It's nothing but normal because of the Aaron Rodgers controversy in Houston. Nothing. It's all abnormal because of the Deshaun Watson controversy. So some teams that don't have controversy and do have stability, it's normal. Atlanta, you got the Julio Jones controversy, but there are a lot of teams that can breathe easily because they don't have problems and they can focus on football.
I saw today that Deshaun Watson's not going to get deposed in the case while they're going to start in September. How much is the fact that the case is going to drag on through the entire season before he even gets to say his piece in it going to affect how the NFL approaches him?
Well, first of all, the NFL doesn't care about that. NFL doesn't have to have. Look at Ezekiel Elliott. No charges were filed, and he still got suspended 6 games. So they have their investigative arm at the NFL. They are loaded with investigators. Some of the 22 plaintiffs that have filed sexual assault and misconduct charges against Deshaun Watson are talking to the NFL investigators. There's 1 or 2 cases that they haven't brought charges yet, but they're investigating. So Goodell can wait 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, or he could do it in start a training camp or regular season. This is not the only thing they got going on. And as I point out to people, Antonio Brown investigation was launched in 2019. He was already suspended for half a season. And even though he reached a settlement with his accuser a couple of months ago, the NFL still investigating. Meanwhile, he's won a Super Bowl ring, and he also has just re-signed with Tampa Bay. But at some point, they could take him off the field. And remember, there's never been a case like this with 22 individual lawsuits, and there's serious charges by the accusers. And so Goodell can do anything he wants. What would be best for Watson is right before the season have him put on the commissioner's exempt list. Only Goodell can make that decision, not the Texans, not Watson. And if he is on the exempt list while the investigation is ongoing, then he gets paid his $10.5 million base salary. If he doesn't show up for the mini camp next month, it'll cost him $93,000 in fines, and for every day he's out of training camp, it'll be $50,000. And about $10.5 million base is a lot of money, but he's paying one of the most expensive lawyers in the country, Rusty Hardin, and no telling what he's having to pay Rusty Hardin, and that bill just keeps going up. And so if he showed up and reported, they couldn't put him on any list, did not report, things like that. They could suspend him. Any team can suspend a player with cause, but they don't do it. They usually leave it up to the league so they're not portrayed as bad guys. So we've known he's not showing up in the off season. The key now, does he need money bad enough to show up to starting camp, hoping it'll force a trade, and or hoping it'll get Goodell to take him out of the spotlight and put him on that exempt list where he could stay all season, 5 games, 6 games. It's all at the commissioner's discretion.
What do you think of the Julio Jones Falcons situation? I mean, he clearly wants out. It's kind of been known for a while, but then that just, more fuel was added to the fire yesterday with the Shannon Sharpe appearance. John, how do you see this going for Julio Jones eventually?
That appearance on Shannon Sharpe is one of the biggest fakes I've ever seen. Like, he called him up and he answered and gave him a scoop. Of course, they planned that, but they've been trying to trade him since before the draft. The only way I see the Falcons getting a second-round pick would be maybe from a team that has multiple 2s next year, or say they have multiple 1s, and they think they're a wide receiver away from either making the playoffs or making a Super Bowl. And right now, when you got a guy his age with his kind of contract coming off an injury-plagued season, I wouldn't give a 2. I'd try to get him to take a 4 that could become a 3 or a 2, depending on how many games he played or how well the team did. I just think it's hard to get a 2 unless the team has multiple picks next year, and a bunch of them do.
John, the Astros and Dodgers, I think, start a series. I think it's in Houston, is it not? And what's that like? Those two have got a little bit of friction between the two of them.
Well, first of all, I'm so down on the Astros after the way they stunk it up in Arlington with the most pathetic performance I've ever seen. Come off of winning the series at Oakland and just stink it up to the high heavens against a team that had been no-hit twice, worst hitting team in baseball. So all my friends are fired up about the Dodgers being here. I went to lunch with one today, and I said, I won't pay any attention to it. I said, just like when they got swept here by the Tigers, I paid no attention for a week because right now I'm down on them big time after that horrendous effort that they put out at Globe Life Field. But, yeah, a lot of people are fired up. A friend at the game said there's a lot of Dodger fans lining up outside Minute Maid Park, and this is the first time the Dodgers have been here. Astros played out there last year, no fans. Of course, they had controversy. They had bench clearing balls. Joe Kelly almost beaned Alex Bregman. It was ugly, ugly, ugly. And what I'd like to ask the Dodgers, okay, they weren't banging on trash cans in L.A. when they kicked your butt to win the World Series, were they?
Tell us how you really feel about the Astros in Arlington, John. I didn't think you got enough emotion. John McClain, Houston Chronicle, with us on SicEm365 Radio. Dave Aranda was in Houston at that touchdown club last week. Your thoughts? Were you able to make that one, John?
No, I was not. I had a speaking engagement that I had committed to before that, but we ran a story in the Chronicle and had a photographer there, and everybody was excited. In fact, I just got back the 2 Baylor fans who were there to email me to ask me what I thought about the football team, and I said this. I said, usually a head coach, and I've been seeing them now for almost 50 years, their first staff is their worst because they feel obligated to hire some of their friends or other friends are recommending people. And the quicker they get those mistakes rectified, the better chance they have of having a better staff and being a good team. So all the fans want to see the kind of improvement Matt Rule made in his second season. And I'd feel a lot better if I knew who the starting quarterback was going to be, because I think getting Grimes was a good move. Do you guys know who the starting quarterback's going to be?
No.
No, we really don't.
See, that's not good when you don't know who your starter's going to be. Like when Charlie Brewer was here, it's like the last 8 years they knew he was going to be the starting quarterback. So hopefully they'll get it worked out by the time the season starts.
Oh yeah, it's a fresh thing because we have some new young, very talented young men. But the question of who would be the start, I mean, some would think it's Zeno, some would think it's Bohannon. I don't think anyone knows. I don't know if Grimes knows.
I don't know if Bohannon is the quarterback of the way he throws the football. You know, I'd be shocked because he's always been a runner first, and you guys know it. We've watched him, and I don't remember other than Zeno, other than that time at the end of his freshman year. I can't remember what game it was. I was like, wow, this kid could be good. And then, did you redshirt last year or just not play or what?
He played at the end, the very end.
Yeah. They just.
So I don't feel real good about it. But if Grimes, you know, going into last season, Zach Wilson had to earn a starting job at BYU, and he did, and that worked out all right. So I'm not saying any of them will be Zach Wilson, but hopefully Grimes can work some magic like he did with Zach Wilson.
John, I know I want to go back to the Astros real quick. Just a quick question. I know he's been playing there against them for the Angels for a while, but Astros fans hated him with the Cardinals. Will Albert Pujols get loudly booed tonight now that he's a Dodger and like the circle of hatred for Astros fans can be complete?
He got booed when he was in St. Louis, and he got booed when he was with the Angels, and he's going to get booed when he plays for the Dodgers. He has abused them this year, as he always does. Hell, they should have signed him just so they don't have to play against him. But they've got a DH, and they've got a first baseman, 2 of their best players. I still don't know why he went to the National League when he's a DH. But those boos are a sign of respect because he has kicked their butt for over 15 years, and he might do it again tonight. I'm just glad they're not playing the Rangers.
Yeah, you're right, because they'd start a sweep of them right now. John,
they would. Okay, guys, thank you. And SicEm.
That's John McClain, Houston Chronicle, very frustrated with the Astros. One quick note, then Paul's 5 at 5:55. Lake Belton starts Thursday a series with Liberty in the 4A regional final. Crawford and Italy tomorrow night in Whitney in the 2A regional final to get to the state tournament. In baseball, Yo and Buna have a series that starts tomorrow. A best of 3. Bosqueville's 31-2 and Crawford, both from the same district, are both in the regional semifinals. Bosqueville starts a series against Windthorst and Weatherford tomorrow night, and Crawford and Lindsay on Thursday start their best of 3 at 5. Paul's 5 at 5:55 is next on SicEm365 Radio. Oh, we're here? Okay. All right.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
Brought to you by Slapsticks Comedy Club. I just got a picture from Kevin Gritton, and the stage is built. They got to carpet it, but the stage is built, so things are coming along and should be open here within 5-6 weeks or so before everything gets rolling. But they're gonna have great food. They're gonna have great comedy. We have a show on Saturday night at Rogue Media Network. Go to slapstickscomedy.com to buy tickets. On the bottom of this YouTube video, the link will be there as well. It's at 8:30 on Saturday night at Rogue Media Network doing improv comedy. I'll be there making a fool of myself on stage, so coming out and see me and my friends tell jokes. But top 5 sports feuds. And this is in honor of Brooks and Bryson. They're not on this list.
They don't need to be.
They're not to the top. They're in the infancy of their feud. It's embryonic, if even anything. All right, number 5, and I got flack for giving this number 5, but number 5, Tanya Harding versus Nancy Kerrigan. I mean, this one ended in an assault, so I guess that kind of tops the feud list. But I mean, there's shades of gray here in all this. Armstrong, you did not think that this should be number 5.
I thought this should be much higher up on the list.
I was going to say.
Assault with a deadly weapon is how this baby ended, so.
Yeah, this isn't even really sports, you know what I mean? Like, it is, but it's so much more off the thing. But, yeah, it has to be up there. I mean, there's been, I don't really know what to make of Tanya Harding all these years later, but that was some real white trash stuff back then, back in the day, no doubt. And, that's certainly one of the all-timers for sure.
I think that was part of the change in America. The way things like that got so much attention.
Yeah. It was that and the OJ trial.
Yeah, the OJ trial and it just.
And now we don't really have reporters anymore. There's some amongst there's one in every 5 people you see on TV probably.
That was one of the stories too that they had people just covering it every day. And and that's where they kind of had to make up what was going on a certain day. Like, well, Tanya Harding left her house and then came back today. Back to you, Steve. Yeah. I mean, that's all that happened. So you don't need to go to him. There's nothing going on. Like, nothing changed from Wednesday to Thursday, so you don't have to report it on Thursday.
It's just, it was, I rarely ever paid attention to it, but knew the story.
Yeah.
Okay.
The interns weren't even alive during it, so be glad that you didn't have to experience that.
And Tanya, very lucky that Margot Robbie was the choice to play her. But, you always get like that step up, like who will play who. Margot Robbie, I didn't see the movie.
It's great.
Really?
It's really good, yeah. Have you seen it, Armstrong?
I haven't seen it. I've seen it 30 for 30. But.
It's really good. They did a good job.
Not going to give him a nickel.
It's very unique.
Straight to her.
It's very unique how they did it. It's not like it's not one of those like made for TV movies.
But it was when it was at the Oscars, like Tanya Harding was there.
Yeah.
Like at the Oscars, and they recognized her.
Yeah.
There's a problem in itself.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, Billy Martin versus George Steinbrenner.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Billy Martin kept getting fired and rehired and fired and rehired and fired and rehired.
Did they eventually do a commercial together about it?
No, they did a commercial. Yeah. They made fun of it on Seinfeld.
Oh, yeah.
All the different things.
Okay. I like that one. Yeah. Among the 5. I don't know about the order yet, but.
Yeah. Number 3, Don Chaney versus John Calipari. I'll never be in a press conference this interesting. So I think that's why I put it at number 3, where John Calipari's up on the podium. And I actually think that those guys wound up becoming friendly later on. But Don Chaney just comes in going, I'll kill you. Yeah. I'll kill you.
But isn't a feud long-term?
I think it probably lasted a while before, yeah.
Yeah, it was, they didn't like each other. UMass and Temple, I remember that. Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
Actually, stupid ad blocker thing.
I know.
Can't look at anything without getting that to pop up. It says here that, the rivalry was back in the A10 days. Like, the press conference was what got the attention, but they were, like, competing against each other all throughout the mid-'90s. And then that happened in 2004, and it says they both became friends, did fundraisers together, posed for pictures, pretending to fight, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So that one's the...
That was a big blow up and a very funny Sports Center moment. Now we see it on Twitter like 5 seconds later, but back then to see some video like that in the Tanya Harding stuff too, we weren't desensitized to it at that point.
Yeah. Number 2, Jim Donnan versus Phil Fulmer. I don't know if you remember this one, guys, but they hated each other. Jim Donnan was the coach at Georgia. Jim Donnan, also a future convicted felon for embezzling money in a Ponzi scheme from coaches he got to invest in a business he got to after he got his ass booted out of Georgia. But he and Phil Fulmer, after a game, in the post-game handshake, got in a wrestling match. And there was no love lost between them before. There's no love lost after. Neither of them apologized. Like, now they'd have to go like, I'm sorry for my actions. And both of them's general attitude was like, yeah, well, F that guy.
Speaking of which, by the way, not only did we talk about yesterday about the WNBA, Bainbridge or whatever her name is, then somebody else from the Connecticut Sun organization came out and said, we're not, remember that yesterday? I was thinking about there was yet another level of, oh my God, we're so sorry we had somebody talk like that to it.
That giant diva overreaction to a very harmless comment.
And I was listening to a Dallas station this morning, and they went about 10 minutes on it because of but it was mainly because of what Bainbridge said, or
exactly,
whatever, not because of anything the coach said to her. Like, if you want equality. Okay, I'm getting off it, but the part was, okay, if you want, because if someone had said Shaq's a 7-foot, 400-pound guy, okay, he'd laugh at it.
Exactly. He would laugh at it. She took it personally, and then she brought race into it, which goes to show you her argument is pretty dadgum weak when it had nothing to do with that whatsoever, so enough of her.
Okay. Donovan and Fulmer, I didn't think much about that one.
Yeah, number one, Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier.
There's not even a 1A.
There's not, and that's look, when
Muhammad Ali is AD at the end, by the way. Okay.
Huh?
It's Muhammad Ali. I'm just because in case you want to let us know that it's AD.
Yeah. Yes. But Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier, and I mean, this was Muhammad Ali crawling in Joe Frazier's dome, with the way that he worked the media, and it took probably a lot of Joe Frazier to understand that that's what Muhammad Ali was doing, because
he called him an Uncle Tom.
Yeah. I mean, but and it wasn't right. Like, nothing that Muhammad Ali was really doing to him was right. But for Joe Frazier, I'm not advocating for, but Joe Frazier's a guy who, I just want to punch people and win the title and do my thing.
He wasn't a showman, although he became one at the end.
But he wasn't going to legislate through the media like Muhammad Ali did, which no one really did at the time. I mean, Muhammad Ali was a trailblazer when it came to that. I say trailblazer in a lot of regards, yes and no. But
he was absolutely,
And so because of that, you've got Joe Frazier, who's like, I don't know where this is all coming from, but now I have to do it. And so and look, to be fair, Muhammad Ali would never let anybody think this, but they were in each other's heads all the time.
Yeah, and by the way, I still think, even though Ali won the Thrilla in Manila, which may be one of the most brutal fights ever, that both of them were near death. Basically, even Ali admitted that. Frazier won the first one in 71, and they fought three. They ended up, they needed each other. Ali would have still been great without Frazier. Frazier would not have been as probably dominant, but as a heavyweight champion back in those days, you're a bad you-know-what.
Jack needed Arnie.
Yeah.
Look, the Bulls needed the team, the teams that they were against. I mean, Jordan needed Reggie Miller. I mean, like, all those things.
Jordan did.
No, but I mean, you need somebody. Jordan.
Oh yeah, you got a Batman and Robin opposite or whatever.
Yeah,
it is.
I mean, you have to have there's
the
got to be
Joker and whatever.
Batman, you got to have that. And so they had that. They all had that. Tiger needed Phil. Phil probably didn't need Tiger, but Tiger needed that because he needed, like, Aaron Rodgers has to play with a chip on his shoulder. Tiger, being the best, he had to play with a chip on his shoulder. These two guys are the best at what they did. They needed to be better, a chip on their shoulder.
They both made each other great, and they both understood that and admitted that eventually at some point. That's Paul's 5 at 5:55. Bob Herring, ESPN, Arthur Rhoades, Mack Rhoades, David Hellman, and John McClain. Craig's Off the Radar every Tuesday and Thursday. Paul 5 at 5:55 every day for Emma, for Hayden, for Jack, and also Armstrong. I'm David Smoak. Thank you for watching and listening on SicEm365 Radio.
Ideal MRI is a small family business right here in Central Texas. We're open to support you while lowering the cost of healthcare bills. When you need an MRI, ask your doctor for an Ideal MRI. Visit us at idealmri.com or call us at 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Texas Farm Bureau Insurance has been proudly serving Texans across the state for over 60 years. Call 254-772-8090 to find an agent who will provide a free review of your auto, home, and life coverage.